Okay, sorry. Hi guys. Um, Hi guys. My name is Igor, and I'm a creative director of Make Love Agency, employer branding agency, which is hosting, which launched this particular event, which is devoted to guerrilla marketing in human resources sphere. Uh, this is the first conference, online conference about unconventional ways of advertising for South African human resources managers, directors, and all the people who are working in this sphere. Why we decided to launch this event? That's because we want to work more with the regions we are not right now in. And this is the first step of Make Love Agency into this region. We hope to get acquainted with you, to start interesting projects with you, and we are starting with this event. This event will be about channels, creative ideas, and all the interesting cases we can show you about the ways of using Guerrilla for human resources. Today we will have 3 blocks and we hope to finish in 3 hours, so please don't plan anything for these 3 hours. These 3 blocks will be about theory. The first one block will be about theory of creative ideas, making creative ideas and guerrilla communications. The second block will be about international cases. Lots of our friends from France, UK, Russia will visit us and tell us about their cases. And after that, the third block will be devoted to the local cases, and we will see the ways of implementing this way of communication from South African companies. I want to say that you should be rather active because you can ask questions when the speaker will finish. Every speech will last for about 10 minutes, and when the speaker will finish, you can ask questions. And those who will ask the most interesting questions will receive our souvenirs. The souvenirs will be such hoodies which are made specially for human resources managers and which have this great slogan, to hire and fire. Hope you will like it, so please be active. Besides, after each block, we will have a small quiz, and those who will be the most precise and fast in these quizzes will also receive this merchandise, these hoodies. Please leave us some time to check who won in each quiz. Later, little bit later after the conference, we will connect you our colleague from South Africa, Kesha Siragia, who will also speak today. She will contact you and you will receive this great hoodies. Besides, if you have friends who also can be interested in this topic, human resources communications, guerrilla marketing and other things, you can give them the link to this conference, and they will also receive the chance to win these hoodies and got lots of insights and information about this topic. The last thing which I need to say, hope we will have great time together today. Please ask any questions. Please use this conference as networking. After each speech, you can look for the speaker in LinkedIn or Facebook, connect, ask other questions. So hope this time will be useful and interesting for all of us. Again, I want to say that we are going to South Africa. I mean Make Love Agency, and we made a small video about this event, and we will show you this video right now.
And now we're live in Johannesburg.
Great. Thank you. So you saw Kesha, and in a minute you will see her live in our virtual studio. And I want to remind you again that first block of our conference will be devoted to the theory of making such communications. In this theoretical block, you will see cases. You will still see lots of cases, but we will explain how invent ideas, how to make these ideas alive, how to make people understand what you wanted to say them. And exactly after this block, we will see cases from all over the world. Hi, Kesha. Nice to see you in our virtual studio. How are you? We can't hear you. I can't hear. Maybe it's.
I am
Mhm.
unmuted. Can
Sorry, right
everybody
now,
else hear?
yes, Kesha, I can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Hello, everybody. In case you didn't hear me the first time, I hope everybody is good.
Y- Yes, we are good. It's nice to see you. To
Likewise. So I'm also wearing my HR department. We're here to hire and fire.
Great, great.
Awesome. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. It is exciting to have you here with us. So I am going to be sharing a little on the theory block and around communication consumption behavior and why this is changing and why we're bringing you along on this journey of discovery and how we then tackle it using marketing techniques uh, known as Guerrilla. So I guess without any further delays, let me share my screen. Please confirm when it's up and you can see. Can everybody see that?
Yes, we can. Yes, Kesha, we can see your presentation.
Great stuff. So my topic is rethinking communication consumption behavior and cutting through the noise. Why is this? So at the beginning of the year, we came up with a few assumptions around how communication consumption is changing from a rather rigid form to more unconventional media, particularly within the HR space. Surely this is a common practice within marketing. And so what does this mean for the HR community? And really, is it changing, or is it just us trying to, be cool? Otherwise, that being the first assumption, the second was that we also wanted to know, when we look at formal communication, when it comes to employment, job sites, career sites, are these the only ways that companies can reach candidates, or are there other creative ways and possibly even channels that are rather informal, like social media? So we did this at the beginning of 2021. I believe it was between Feb and March. We conducted the online survey, and it was called Communication Consumption Behavior Assessment. It was really just to inquire about how people consume communication. The survey had 23 questions, and the total number of respondents was 78. To give context in terms of this market and understanding where things are at, we also thought that it might be wise to add a lens and really just, give a view of what is happening here. So when we looked at our standpoint as South Africa, is that the majority of the respondents within this survey particularly were on the market. So 78% of those were on the market for new employment, but also 53% of those were unemployed, largely being the youth or the younger generation within the study. What this also said, what we noticed was that the most employed group were people between the ages of 35 and 44, which were mostly professionals and specialists in their field. But what really stood out was the fact that within this group, there's a lot of mobility or people moving between jobs, which was highlighting the fact that retention in South Africa remains a problem. But then what of the other group, the larger groups, so the young ones that are still leaving or are at university and would be leaving? joining the workforce? How do we actually want, or how do we think about engaging them and really getting them to think of us as employers? So part of this was really just to see, with the different generations, particularly the young ones, do we need to change our approach? What makes them tick? Because we are in the so-called gig economy, where traditional employment, as it were, isn't that much more enticing to that group. So we want to obviously come up with new and creative ways in terms of how to engage them and get them to consider us as employers. So let's look a little bit closer into the subject of the communication consumption behavior and how that's changing based on our assumption. So we looked at the biggest sort of driver and when candidates actually consider or at least look at any information that is provided about an employer. At what stage within their journey do they do this? And we find that a lot of the times they do this when looking for employment. Obviously, it could be improved. What we are ideally trying to see is a scenario where they follow you regardless. So they should want to know or hear about you even prior, or in fact, if there is efforts that you are doing to get them to engage with you and see you as an employer, but not just that, as an employer for them personally, what can be done to really shift this behavior from only looking to understand you when they're looking for a job to them actually just following you because you have become that dear employer or prospective employer. Then the question becomes, is situational contact best practice when trying to attract people? Is it effective? Does it make sense, or are we missing an opportunity here? If you consider the employee journey, from where they begin forming considerations about you becoming an employer, all the way down to when they are onboarded and are working with you, there are a few processes that take place in this. The first being that they could be passive, just observing you from a distance. And whatever may trigger interest could lead them to wanting to collect information about you and potentially start some kind of contact and explore further. Are there any vacancies that you have? Is there anything really about you that is of interest to them, and really form opinions around you? Then we move obviously over to when they finally get to a place where they're wanting to make a decision. Do they decide to go with you for compared to maybe your competitor, or what are the reasons that get them to make this decision? So when we explore how you position yourself or how you speak about yourself on the multimedia that is out there, that could be really the differentiator between you being that employer of choice that stands out and has cut through the noise, or you basically put in the basket with everybody else that may or may not be seen. So the question of, are we actually missing a point when we focus on contact only when somebody is looking for a job, which would then represent the stage of exploration and decision making? Yes, I would say that we are, because if we are saying that to acclimatize or pull people along with us to start seeing us as employers before we have that job, before we even tell them about what our employer value proposition is and this is what we can do for you, what else can we do prior to that when they are, let's say, dormant or are not even looking at us? Are there ways in which we can engage them? And I will be discussing a few of those below and share some ideas, of course, but for now we're just looking at the theory and the thinking behind why we may need to change our approach to communicating. So going back to the point made about at what point talent spends time learning about an organization, we really trying to say upon the path or on the path of representing ourselves as employers, we need to think about not only refining or fine-tuning the information that we post on our job portals or career sites or any other contact channel really, but really how do we appear meaningfully in the everyday life of the person that we are trying to talk to? And by that we mean linking what your proposition or what your value offer as an employer is to their everyday interests in a way that does not sound or feel advertising or that they're being sold to in any way, but really just integrating yourself in that and making yourself a part of their lives. So our mission here is really to expand this blue zone that you're looking at, where they follow you all the time, regardless of whether or not they're looking for employment, but out of interest because you have become a company on their radar. The question then is, how can we employers, how can we cut through the noise and become a part of their lives? We need to think wider than using websites. We obviously know that social media plays a huge role in this. Of course, the classic, career websites and the websites are still largely where people go to learn about an organization. But we also know that social media, being a more informal platform, allows for people to be a bit more relaxed and a bit more receptive to suggestions, if you will, of this is why this company might be for you, because they are either like-minded people here or you are drawn to a cause that is X, Y, and Z, and we actually believe the same. So your contribution, or me and you together, will sort of make magic, and that sort of thinking. The idea here is to go in and find them where they are at and come to them with relevant information. Again, just expanding on the social media aspect of this to say, what channels then? I mean, great that, they want to be engaged on social media. What exactly, or which channels particularly? This graph over here shows you from the respondents that we had which channels they particularly look at when, or at least would want to hear information about employment from employers that they look at or consider. As you can see, LinkedIn makes up a large part of that. That is obviously because it's a formal platform and you can expect to find that kind of information. Then you also have Instagram and Facebook, then there's WhatsApp. What do those channels mean, and why would anyone want to learn about employment or employers there? That the reason is that other employers are already obviously doing it, and some do it so well. And in fact, the whole process is largely informal, and it becomes then a lot less, you could say, intimidating, a lot less traditional, but rather new and exciting, and really proves or shows the fact that there is a way in which we think about employing you that is different from everybody else, thereby making us look really, really different and exciting in that way. So when thinking about which channels then to consider, these might be the ones that you want to look at. Of course, you have the two there that are also featured, but they're not as strong. Your YouTube, and for sure, the use of video that is the case with YouTube can also be found on or can be repurposed and used on Facebook and Instagram, but the content really just being delivered short and sweet on those channels. So when we also asked about the type of content that they would want to see, right? Or let's say how it would be packaged. Do they want to see long text, emails, posts, or virtual events? As you can see in the graph here, it's split, and you can really get a sense of what works and what doesn't. So your posts, videos, infographics are type of contents that can be used. And again, what's great about that is that repurposing for different channels is still very much possible. But also a layer to this that maybe has not been added is the experiential marketing of this. So what does this mean? So in the event that you are looking at communication that is not digital, but wanting to get people to touch, feel, taste your brand, there's also the possibility, of course, of coming up or engaging them in content that involves them physically going through something. So an example will be what my colleagues will share in a few cases that we have done for Deutsche Bank and ABB. Really, the idea was to get people to participate physically, walk into a place and get something out, either some kind of evaluation telling them, hey, you are this kind of person, obviously male, female, but you could be a fit for us based on X, Y, and Z reasons. So those are just some examples of how to shift then from traditional to more exciting, non-monotonous communication. So what else can be done, in this? I mean, generally there is a steady, as I mentioned, steady tendency towards virtual communication. And when we looked at this across the board, whether male, female, regardless of age group, this tends to be a reoccurring theme where people are just generally tired of boring text over text, and now we're reading about it's rather better or more engaging to experience. And this is seen by a 75% figure showing us that people want to actually just experience whether virtual fairs or anything to do with them being interacted with through the process. I think you've just seen that that wraps up my presentation. I would like to invite Igor now to go into some of the cases that we have planned to share with you. Thank you so much.
Great, Kesha. Thank you for your speech. Please wait for some time. If we have any questions, we will ask you to ask these questions. And I wanted to say that first of all, it was really interesting to listen to this information about figures, numbers, what is happening, particularly in South Africa. And I wanted to ask, do you know what will be what channels of communication should be used for the students this year or the next year? Because these trends differ from country to country, and if you know what will happen, it can be very helpful. Maybe maybe you have such tips for human resources.
For sure. Obviously, I think with the South African market particularly, we've not really exploited or made use of social media for the purposes of HR related communication. I think there's still such a huge opportunity there for us. But then, of course, beyond the digital/social media, there is the possibility of employing experiential marketing tactics within the space. So what does that mean exactly? I mean, I could give one silly example where maybe you send people around town on a hunt for, I don't know, some prize, and that then becomes the process of application into the job or whatever it could be. But I think the general thinking should be that to think unconventionally, think out the box, and not the monotonous, boring, hey, we've got a job here, would you like to apply? By the way, there are people that look like you, maybe you want it, maybe you don't, because other players are doing it a little better than you might be doing it.
Great. Exactly such cases we will show in the next presentation. It will be mine. I will show several cases of unconventional ways of communicating with employees or candidates. So we will show how to do it. And after that, by the way, my colleague Ksenia will tell the methodics, briefly explain how to make such cases, how to work with them. Kesha, by the way, I didn't mention it, sorry for it, but Kesha is our colleague. She is the person who makes all the make love cases in South Africa, and Kesha is the founder and CEO of Kwanu and Make Love Agency South Africa managing director. So it was my fault I didn't introduce you at the beginning, but right now I did it. And thank you for your speech, Kesha. If any questions will appear, please answer these questions in chat. Thank you for the presentation. And right now, thank you, bye. And right now, I want to say again, not say again, I didn't say about it, but it's important thing. Right now, lots of people, we have several people here in the Zoom translation. We have are the people who are watching us in Instagram and Facebook translation, because this video is translated to other channels as well. And this video will be saved. So if you will like any cases from this video, you will be interested in sending this video to your colleagues, we will share this video later with you, because we have your emails, and we will give you after the event the whole video to share it with your colleagues. Right now, let's please move to the next section, and this section will be devoted to the case studies, and I'm sharing the presentation right now, and this presentation should be on the screen. I have just 10 or 15 minutes, that's why I will be very brief, and I want to talk about particular cases of implementing the guerrilla marketing. I'm waiting. Here is my presentation. Great, thank you very much. And I want to make this presentation this way. I want to give you some tips how you can invent something new in your how you, sorry for, I have some technical issue because the presentation isn't showing right now. Unfortunately, I can't do it. Okay. Unfortunately not. Wait a second, please. I will make sorry for this technical issue, because the most part of my speech is based on the presentation. That's why I need to show it, and I have small, tiny problems with it. And I will share the presentation very soon, immediately. Sorry for this. Here it is. Sorry for this trouble. Hope the presentation will appear on the screen in a second. And I want to share some cases very fast, in a very fast way, to show the cases of implementing guerrilla marketing. Let's start immediately. Here is the case with the recruiting of the guys who is working in the airport security. And here is the idea. This is the example of guerrilla marketing, which I love, and I think it's one of my favorite cases. When the guys from the security agency needed to hire people who are working in the airport security, they made such a briefcase with metal letters, and these metal letters were put into this case in such a way that the person who is sitting near the X-ray screen can see not the stuff which is in the suitcase, but the particular message which said that experienced security personnel is needed in this company. And this is the situation in which you show your advertising message in the channel which is not normally used for it. So this is the unconventional way, and this way has several great things which you can for which we are using it. Another case, I will show you another case, and then I will explain why it's so useful. How to steal an accountant from the competitor's office. Here the idea, here is the thing which this agency from Austria used. They sent $1 to their competitors' companies, just €1. But they also attached the reason for payment for this euro, and this reason for payment said that this agency, Kobza Vienna, is looking for an accountant who is more attentive than others. And this advertising was made for the accountants who at the end of the month checking all the money which entered the company. I mean, they checked everything which is inside. And once they understand that they have one spare euro, they look for it, they find this reason for payment, and they find this advertising message. So it's very interesting way of explaining that this agency values attentive people. So, what things we can understand from these first cases? First of all, we can understand that guerrilla marketing, guerrilla advertising is cheap. You can do it by yourself. It's impressive, that's why it goes viral. Normally, people who saw such a suitcase with letters or such advertising in the money invoice, people love it a lot and they eagerly share it with their colleagues, or like me, they share it on the conferences or speeches. But unfortunately, this thing is hard to create and launch because you have to think a lot. You have to launch brainstorms to invent such idea. The next speech, my colleague Ksenia will speak about the creative methodics which help to invent such ideas. Let's move to other cases, and you will see how interesting such things can be. The next question is how to hunt a mechanic straight from the workshop. And this case was launched in Netherlands. Two girls on a rather old Volkswagen entered the workshops, out of workshops, and when they said that they have such problems, some problems with their car, the mechanic went under the car and he saw this advertising which said that the official Volkswagen workshop was looking for great mechanics. Of course, we understand that there were just few mechanics who saw this advertising, but the guys from this workshop, they shot a video about this case, and this video gone viral. And after this video gone viral, lots of people understood that this company was looking for a mechanic. That is why a viral potential of this guerrilla marketing is great. Let's move to another case, and this case is about programmers' attention in the university. This case was made by our agency. That's why I'm very proud to present it to you right now. We took an ordinary coffee machine and put it into the campus. You can see the photo of this coffee machine. But unfortunately, this coffee machine wasn't working. It was broken. So this screen of this coffee machine just showed the lines of code, the lines of programmers' code. And this made normal people, those who don't know code, this made normal people just pass away. They didn't come to this machine. But all the programmers, all people who know the languages of programming, come to see what was on the screen because they understood this language. They saw the task on the screen, and once they coped with it, they just added several operators, letters or figures, and this machine started working. And that was a kind of test for them. And once they passed this test, this machine gave them the free coffee. And once they received this free coffee, machine asked them to leave their email. We used this machine in 6 universities, and it stayed for 2 days in each university. And after that, we received 6,000 emails of 6,000 people played this machine, and we received, sorry for this, only 2,000 emails, but it was enough for us to invite these guys to a bank. It was the activation which was made by Deutsche Bank to invite programmers to their company. And this activation showed that the work in this company, the culture of this company, isn't boring, and it will be rather interesting to work in the company which invented this great machine. The next case is about IKEA, and I asked you how to find loyal candidates if they love your product. In this case, maybe you saw it because it was rather popular. This case is about the instruction which you normally find in the IKEA furniture when you buy it. The IKEA in Austria put not only the ordinary instruction into their furniture, but they also put this small instruction about how to assemble your future, not the furniture but your future. And you see that there was a comics which explain that a person in 2 steps could receive lots of money when he started working in IKEA. The next case is about the guys who are dealing with design, and this case uses the habits of designers, and these habits are used also to make guerrilla marketing, advertising, or communications. First of all, I think you remember that not so far ago, long ago, people used these Latin texts, which is started from the words lorem ipsum, to put it into the drafts of the design when you didn't have your own text. So you wanted to show the draft how it will look. It will look at the end, but unfortunately you don't have any text. So you put this lorem ipsum, and there was a website which has this full lorem ipsum text. Once designers came to this site to copy this text to use it in their drafts, they found an advertising message for them. This advertising message said that your layouts deserve better than lorem ipsum. Come to our agency and you will receive everything into this agency. This case is my favorite, so please pay attention to it because it uses unconventional habits. What do I mean? Lots of people, as we know, lots of designers, especially young designers, use non-licensed soft. So they download Photoshop or Illustrator from the torrents and make it illegal because they don't have money to pay for the license. That is why agency Ogilvy used this insight, and they made this a kind of Photoshop distributive program and uploaded it to different torrents, but unfortunately there was no Photoshop in it. So when these young designers downloaded this fake distributive, they saw a video inside of it, and this video said that every person who will come to Ogilvy will receive legal software and the legal computer, free computer, and it would be a great idea for them to start their career having everything in this agency. So they used really interesting channel, unconventional channel, torrent trackers. The third idea for designers was this one. The guys who are making photos, photographers, they have their albums, and normally they send these albums to different art directors to show their photographs. So later art director of an agency can return to this album, take it, and invite this photograph to make the shooting. But this was the advertising album. This agency from Netherlands, they put advertising materials into the photos. So when art director was looking through this album, he saw this small, tiny advertising inside of the photos, and this is also guerrilla marketing. Let's ask this question: what if the applicant is used to constantly digging into the code? I think you will understand what I mean. People who are making websites, they are normally digging into the code, and that was used by Flickr or Apple, for example. Their website, which consists of lines of code normally, had also their logotypes and the message which said, if you are reading this, we are hiring you, so please come to work in Flickr, or please come to work in Apple. Please pay your attention that this message is greatly targeted. So there is no person who doesn't understand anything in code but will see this message. So this message was targeted at very precisely at people whom this company invited to work inside. Another example is this. I like it as well. People who invited doctors to work in Afghanistan, in American Army, they understood that no one wanted to go to this spot. So they made these X-ray pictures and sent to them, and these X-ray pictures showed the real wounds. And the message said that if you know how to cope with it, we need you, because it's a very low percent of doctors who can work with wounded people. And this made people from the target audience understand that they are needed in this place, and they started working with this company. The last one, the last case I want to show you today, because I'm short of time, is about programmer's table. If we think what is situated on the programmer's table, we can invent another great, strange way of communication, and it is pizza. The guys from the agency who hired programmers in I think it was France. They went to the campus of the university, technical university, and they started making pizzas with QR codes in the pizzeria which was situated in this campus. And once any person from this campus ordered pizza, he received this QR code, and this QR code was you can use it, even you can use your phone to read this QR code. And this QR code said that this agency needed programmers, and it was using all the strange ways of communication, and this was one of them. And lots of people were making photos of this pizza, uploading to their in social networks, and it made this case viral as well. I think the last one thing I will show to you today is using of games. So the British intelligence, British MI6, understood that they needed people from the gaming sphere, and they made their games become a place for advertising, such advertising, and they put the invitation to work in their sorry, not company, but in MI6, into the very popular game which lots of gamers used together, and that made them apply to this company. So what we can do to have to make such communications is on the screen. You should explore your target audience lives, look for the insight, broadcast just one value, not several, be inventive and use lateral thinking. And this will be this next topic which I want to present you. This is the end, this is the end of my presentation, and I want to invite to speak my colleague Ksenia Shapovalova. Ksenia is the creative director. She's creative director of Make Love Agency, and she had lots of such cases. Today she will speak about just one case which was made by her team, but she will explain how you can use the methodics to make it. So, Ksenia, hi, nice to see you.
Hi, Igor, nice to see you. Hello, everyone, and Igor, thank you for your cases. Today I'm here to show how we create creative cases, and I'm sharing my presentation. Well, I hope you see my presentation and you hear me. But I think it's more important to see my presentation than hearing me. Okay, let's start. Today I'm here with mind mapping or how to create bright and effective ideas. Who am I? My name is Ksenia. I'm creative director in Make Love Agency, like my colleague Igor. I'm working here for 5 years, and I have a huge experience in developing employer brands and create ideas, because me and my team create ideas for our clients every day, and we try to make employer brands not only creative but effective. And today I have 15 minutes, and I want to teach you, to show you one creative technique, one of my favorite creative technique. Well, but let's start from this question. Why do we need creative techniques? Sometimes people think that only creative people need creative techniques, like creative directors, designers, copywriters, creative managers, and so on. But It's not true. I don't agree with this statement. Creative techniques help us to take the brain out of the comfort zone, to find non-standard solutions and to create non-standard ideas. How it works. Our brain live inside the box. You can see here the green square. If we have a challenge, we try to find a solution, and our brain tries to find the obvious solution. But if we want to attract top talents, if we want to make creative ideas, we have to go out of the box and find creative solutions, and that's why we need creative techniques. Well, if you think that you are not creative and you don't use creative techniques in your everyday life, you are not right. Let's imagine that it's raining outside. What should you do? It's raining outside and you don't have an umbrella. Okay. And your brain starts to generate ideas what to do because you don't want to go outside, it's raining. Maybe to use my bag instead of umbrella, or maybe to put plastic bags on my shoes, or maybe to use a jacket and to put it on my hat. We try to find non-standard ideas and try to go outside without umbrella. And it explains how our brain works. And we always use creative techniques, and we always want to go out of the box. One of my favorite technique called mind mapping, and what is it and how it works. Here you can see Miro.com. I recommend to use this site for creating mind mapping, but some people prefer to use paper and a pen. It's okay. It may be a little bit old-fashioned, but it's okay. Today we suffer from overload of information, and we need tools to structure this information, to structure and to go outside of our box. That's why we use mind mapping. This technique helps us to think, to collect knowledge, to collect our memories, to remember some important things, and create ideas. Well, look at this slide and try to understand how it works. The idea is you are doing something very visual. Here in the center of our mind map, health, this word, and we try to find some associations with this word, like sleep, stress, exercise, health, diet, and so on, so on. And we have to go further and try more and more associations with our first circle, like stress. Solutions, effect, causes, and so on, so on. It may be not only nouns, it may be quotes, it may be questions, insights about your target audience, and so on, so on. Well, it's important to know that every next thread don't repeat previous one and doesn't have a connection, a visual connection. If we see at this slide Earth in the center, I placed the word Earth in the center and tried to find some associations with this word, like Earth, it's a planet, Earth, people, space, nature. For me, like for associations. And then I tried to go further and try to find associations to planet or space, like asteroids, stars, sun, comets, and so on. Or what about people? People, it's me, why not? And man and woman, it's love and friendship. And if we look at this mind map, I think that we don't see connection between friendship and Earth, or between love and Earth. And this is the way how it's worked, because we need to go more and more and to find non-standard solutions and to go further in our associations. Let's see on our case. we had a challenge from ABB, Swedish engineering company, and our challenge was motivate girl to apply for ABB International Internship Program. And the second challenge was to collect their CVs and show that ABB is technologically progressive company. We had, I think, 3 challenges and had to create a great idea and effective idea. And for this idea, we use mind mapping, how it was. Well, in the center, I placed the statement students at a career exhibition and found associations with this statement, like what are they doing, what do they like, and so on and so on. My first associations were like looking for a job, checking phone every minute, or chatting with friends, or collecting free materials, or taking pictures, or maybe doing nothing, why not? And there were my thoughts about students at a career exhibition, but I needed a fresh idea, a great idea, and I had to go further and to found more and more associations. And you can see here my associations, for example, looking for a job. Maybe students think about chatting with managers, why not? Hand out a CV, or they are ready for assessment right now, or maybe they want to prove that they're the best for this job. Or if they checking phone every minute, what do they want? They want to chat with friends, they think about Wi-Fi and try to find free Wi-Fi at the exhibition. Or maybe if they collect free materials, they need a bag, or they think that, oh, it's too much materials, very heavy, I don't want to go with them, I don't know what to do with them. Or they think, do I really need all this stuff? Or maybe they want to take pictures, need great photos, finding a perfect location because they need more and more likes and shares and reactions from their friends, or they try to find their friends here. Let's see that here I found associations with these threads and tried to generate more and more thoughts or insights about our target audience. And then after this, we tried to create some ideas from these thoughts. Look at this slide and look at our threads more in detail. Well, here is a thread about checking phone every minute. Yes, they chat with friends, think about Wi-Fi and check Instagram or Facebook. What can we do with this? Maybe we can make targeted ads. Why not? If you are here, you can see our ad about ABB. Or we can we can make tasks for free Wi-Fi. If you want the internet, you have to log in to know some information from ABB, or maybe to solve the task, and then you will get free Wi-Fi, or maybe QR Quest. Why not? Here you can see 3 ideas from one thread of mind map. But we went further and we looked at this thread. If a student really wants to find the offer, to find the work, maybe robots instead of real managers, because we want to show people that we are a technologically company, or VR assessment, it's a new way to communication, or maybe interactive form for CV. Here we can see 3 more ideas for our challenge, but we went further and we concentrated on this thread. We understood that our target audience really like take pictures and spend time on Instagram and Facebook, and we started to think about this thread. Okay, what about photos, perfect locations? Maybe we can give them some stuff for pictures, or maybe we can make technological press wall. Or what about photo booth? Maybe we can attract people, like attract women to ABB with photo booth. And here is our solution. And I think it's better to show it to you that to hear my explanation. Let's see this video.
Swedish-Swiss Engineering Corporation, ABB, launched the Female International Internship in Engineering Speciality. How to take students' attention, motivate girls to apply for this program, and show that ABB is a technologically progressive and up-to-date company. We present ABB Photo Booth that is able to identify the sex. Students visit career fairs very often. Instead of boring booklets and leaflets distribution, we decided to use Photo Booth, with which anybody can make photos for free and get pics right here. Sex identification program recognizes who sits in front of the camera. A boy just gets 4 photos, and at the same time, a girl gets only 3. But with the invitation to ABB internship program in the QR code referring to ABB Facebook page. This photo booth has gone on a big journey in Europe, visited 5 cities, made photos of 2,460 students. But most importantly, it brought us 590 applications for the female engineering internship.
Well, we are really proud of this case. We created this case, this idea, we found this idea using mind mapping. And I want to tell you that provoke your brain and find non-standard solutions. You can do it, and take some practice, and I'm sure that you will fall in love with mind mapping like me and like my team. Thank you so much.
It was really interesting, and the solution is great. I know about the solution, of course, because I saw it before, but still, every time I see it, I love it. Please ask questions about this speech or this case, because Ksenia will stay in the chat for some time, and she will be able to answer, and she will be eager to answer you. And please remember that your questions will help you to win such great hoodie with the HR slogan, which Ksenia has and I have on me, and Kesha showed you as well during her speech. So please answer these questions. Thank you, Ksenia. And for us, it's time to move to quiz, and I will share the presentation right now. And please be active again. I have just 4 questions which are based on the things which I, Ksenia, or Kesha just showed you. So send your answers to the chat of our Zoom conference. Unfortunately, those guys who are who are watching us at Facebook and Instagram translations, you can send your answers in the Facebook, but unfortunately you can't in Instagram. Sorry for that. So only those who are in Zoom and Facebook can answer these questions. And the first question is, when planning communication, when you're planning the communication, what are 3 things you need to prioritize? Choose the wrong answer. You should think about audience, time of the day, message, or channel. Just choose the wrong answer, because 3 other components were mentioned by one of the speakers. And I even think that this speaker was Kesha. Again, when planning communication, what are the 3 things you need to prioritize? But you should choose the wrong one, the wrong question. Oh, sorry, wrong answer. The variants you have here are audience, message, time of the day, and channel. You can write this or you can put the number into the chat. Next question. Mind map helps us to. Now you have to choose the wrong answer. Again, there are 3 correct answers and 1 wrong answer. Mind map helps us to structure the information. Mind map helps us to create ideas. Mind map helps us to improve information recording. And mind map, sorry, helps us to become a painter. You can choose the answer, or you can choose the number and put it into the chat. And I want to say that we can say that all answers are correct, but only 3 of these answers were mentioned by the speaker in the speech. Let's move to the next question, and the next question is this one. What was wrong with the coffee machine from the point of view of the students? The coffee machine was used as the Guerrilla instrument, and what was wrong with this coffee machine from the point of view of the students? It didn't have coffee. It was broken. It played music videos loudly. It was a video game machine. What was wrong with this coffee machine? Choose the right answer. It didn't have coffee, it was broken, it played music videos loudly, and it was a video game machine. And the last question of this part of the quiz: what is the most used social media channel for employment related content? What is the most used social media channel for employment related content? If you are human resources manager, where should you go? To Facebook, to WeChat, to LinkedIn, and Instagram. There are 4 variants. You should choose the right one. What is the most used social media? Facebook, WeChat, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Again, this answer was one of our speakers told about it. Please send us the answers to these questions right now. Please send us to our chat. A little bit later, not now, not immediately, my colleagues will check these questions and we will send you the answer, or if you will win, we will send you these hoodies and you will receive it. But please give us a little bit of time to work on this information. Right now, I want to invite the next speaker, speaker who will open the second part of our conference, the second part, which is called International Cases. And this speaker is the head of internal communications of a Russian company, Ozon. Ozon is a rather big company which dealing with selling the products over the internet. And our next speaker is Ksenia Orlova, and she will explain us how to attract IT specialists. I see Ksenia on our screen. Ksenia, hi. Nice to see you.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. And now you can see my computer and the presentation, right?
It will appear on the screen in a second. Yes, right now we can. So,
Great.
Ksenia, go on.
So, just a minute, sorry, like that. I suppose here I am. So first of all, my name is Ksenia Orlova, and nice to meet you here. Thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to be a part of this conference. As you already told, I work at Ozon as head of internal communications. Does anybody know what is Ozon? Please say yes or no in chat. Okay, so sorry, I can't see. Ah, here I am. No, okay, done. Well, Ozon, it's Russian Amazon. We usually explain it like that. And we are a tech company. Ozon is a leading e-com platform in Russia, featuring more than 11 million SKUs in over 20 product categories. We are ranging from books and clothing to food and health products. It's a quickly developing as a digital platform company with its online marketplace already accounting for over 90% of total assortment. Just a minute, the next. And last year, in the end, we opened a new IT office in St. Petersburg. It's our motherland for the company. and decided that we want to make this event visible among IT society. So we decided to make a contest for IT specialists, and then we had to hunt them, of course. We wanted to invite them to our team. And what was the estimation for us for this contest? We wanted to take part in the contest, about 5,000, 7,000 people who take part in it, and to get about 170 or 20 good leads for hunting for us. Also, we of course made a great PR campaign to support the activation. Use the digital channels, as IT guys, as you may know, usually sit somewhere in digital. So we decided that first of all, we need to take Telegram, Facebook, Kontakte, it's Russian Facebook, to be honest, and Instagram. The most effective channels for us were Telegram and Kontakte. So the most relevant participants came from these two channels. So what was the contest? We decided to run a competition for developers, as first of all, we wanted to find new developers to our team. The participants could choose a task, a level of the task, easy or medium, and also we made a super task for those who want to check their skills and to try themselves a luck and their knowledge and hard skills, of course. Participants could choose the language of the code they would like to write. So we're searching for lots of programmers, lots of people who write in most languages. It's Go, Java, JavaScript, C, Python, and so on. And of course, they could choose the prices. Most of the prices were the most common products we sell at Ozon in Russia. The most common products usually IT guys buy at Ozon. So it was our data from the sellings. And for example, our participants could choose, for example, a kilo of coffee beans or anti-coronavirus package, best-selling books, fitness trackers, robot vacuum cleaner, and so on. So the best price for the super task was iPhone 12 Pro, which was new for those period of time. So it was. We decided that it's a good price for them. As Ozon as a company, of course, we get the emails and mobile phones of all the participants, so we can hire them after the contest. Hire those people who made the exercises correctly with good answers. So what was the implementation? Here you can see. Also, I'd like to say that all the tasks were made by our IT guys, our staff. The solutions of this contest were checked, were verified by our external experts, but the amount of solutions we got were really enormous. That's why we decided that our IT guys who made these tasks should help us to check them. So for us, this is a loyal audience that knows something about our company. They took part in our contest, and we have their contacts, and they are fine with that. So after the contest, we decided that we can share our vacation for them and make, for example, try to hire them. What is interesting that all PR campaigning idea belongs to Make Love Agency. So these guys made a great proposal that we decided to implement. all the landing and IT part of the contest was made by the other IT agency. They are our partner. It's a Spence agency. They helped us with the realization, and all the content belongs to our company. So that their tasks are real exercises that our IT guys usually try to fix or doing at their everyday work at Ozan. So what was the idea? We decided that there should be about 325 prizes. We've got 38 tasks and 23 prizes categories, and one super prize, of course, for the best winner. What are the results? Here you can see, just a minute, I could see it also. So here you can see that at the task there were 2,885 participants. So confirmed participants means that they are unique for us. So they are all different people, as we have their emails and confirmation of their mobile phone. We've got more than 2,000 solutions sent to us. So we had to check not 500 or 700 solutions as we proposed, as we expected, first of all. And there were more than 2,000 of them. 7,027 correct solutions we've got. So it means that we have to double our prize fund and had to and gave 727 prizes for all the participants who correctly made the exercises. After all, what we've got as a company, we've got 498 contacts. So now we're trying to come to the contact with these people and propose them a job at our company. So the results actually exceeded our expectations, as you may see. Here also, what was interesting to learn about this auditory, as you may see, the top 5 popular gifts were those gifts that are not very expensive for us as for the company. It was the playlist or best-selling books, wireless headphones, and anti-coronavirus package, as you may see, or 3D constructor. Also, you can see the most popular tasks. Not all of them are easy. Here is the task and the number of solutions we've got. What was surprisingly, I mean, here you can see the conversion rate for the super task. 102,039 times our participants opened this Olympiad task, the super task. And only 143 solutions were sent, and 19 of them were correct. So of course there was only one winner who proposed the best code, the best solution, which was short, effective, and good for us, suits for us. So now we are still hiring people to our IT office, but after all, we have a good PR campaign, effective. It was vivid among the auditory, and very nice. And what we have is a nice feedback from this IT society. Actually, that's all from my side. If you have any questions, I would like to answer.
Ksenia, I don't have any questions because I like this idea and this case. I want just to point out one thing which I love the most. That things is about the questions from real people which didn't have any particular right answer. I love the idea that it wasn't just a test about the knowledge of the something, but it was a test of their soft skills, which was made of questions from real people from the company. And I think it's the most powerful thing in this case, and this idea which can be used by those who listening to you and who want to borrow this idea to use it in their company maybe sometime later. It worked greatly. Ksenia, if we don't have right now at the moment. We see that cannot said about the story. We don't have any questions, but can you stay for some time, please, online? Because if we have any questions, you will be able to answer in the chat. And thank you very much for this case and for this story. We hope that you will stay for some time to answer. Next speaker, I have to stick to the timing, and that's why I'm hurrying. Next speaker is Kenneth Kane, the founder and the director of the Serif agency. The guys are dealing with storytelling in human resources communications. Kenneth is from UK, and I want to read the name of the Kenneth's topic because it's not an ordinary one. Tell me a fact and I'll learn, tell me a truth and I'll believe, but tell me a story and it will live in my heart forever. This is the topic which Kenneth used to present his speech, and right now I want to give a stage to Ken to start his speech. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Igor, and I'm glad that you didn't burst into tears when you read that out. It was very emotional.
I did my best.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I hope this finds you well. Can you see that, Igor?
Is
Hello?
on the screen. Yes.
Oh, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So as Igor says, this is a few minutes on storytelling, and I love a great story. I think everybody does, and even as a child, I begged for somebody to read to me. I would spend countless hours absorbed in a book, and I still do. And I place myself in the scene that the book would create, feeling the emotions of the characters. And it's funny how storytelling sometimes leaves us when we move into the world of work. And yet it should be so important when we're managing others, or we are trying to compel somebody to come and work with us or work for the organization that we work for. Stories have been used to hand down learning and knowledge for thousands of years, and a good story really engages our curiosity. It fires our imagination and it builds a very deep emotional connection with the content. And storytelling is a fundamental human experience that unites people and drives stronger, deeper connections. And perhaps the first thing when we think about storytelling is a childhood experience of being told a story, or a story that you've told a child, doing even a different voice for every character. And we're all familiar with the different forms of storytelling, such as fairy tales and legends. And these oral and written stories continue to evolve as they're retold and brought to life in different forms. But storytelling doesn't just take place within a pool of lamplight or around a campfire, or by the side of a bed. Stories are part of our daily lives, in the anecdotes we tell our friends, the books we read, the films we watch, and the experiences we share. And stories are also recognized as an important way of connecting with any audience. They are the way that we understand and make sense of the world around us. They take many forms, but they usually have some elements in common. Rather than a list of kind of dry facts, stories have a narrative. They have a sequence, and they introduce people and characters. And we, as humans, we respond to stories particularly when there is emotional detail involved. And we remember the information given in a story form much more vividly than when we're presented with facts and data. Stories enable us to feel what it's like to be part of something. And in an HR context, that's really, really important. Great storytelling captures both our hearts and our minds and has the transformative power to allow us to see the world differently than what we do if we just encounter it on our own. And stories are an entry point to understanding a different experience of the world. In the talent space, I would suggest that great storytelling is the silver bullet to brilliant talent management. An organization's ability to build a deep emotional connection with people, creating that purpose and that meaning that so many strive for, and connecting emotionally with those people who work for you and those people who should work for you but don't know it yet, is kind of the critical component in creating that sense of belonging and meaning and unleashing that discretionary effort that so many businesses seek from their teams. That discretionary effort that some people call it engagement, but that discretionary effort that drives innovation, that drives the better customer experience and ultimately drives better business performance. Storytelling gives people a totally different entry into your brand. It should share what's real and true to you as a business, and it should take the gloss from the corporate narrative. Organizations are human enterprises. They shouldn't be afraid to express the challenges and the vulnerabilities and not have a glossy narrative telling everybody in the world that everything is well within their organization. I think those organizations who tell their story and show vulnerability through that story are the organizations who show the greatest strength. And storytelling, when chosen wisely and told well, it's a very powerful tool for persuasion, for influence, for affection and trust. And arguably, in the context of employment, all of those human traits are really, really important, whether you are retaining people in your organization or you're looking to attract people towards it. And now more than ever, I would argue it's time for organizations to get emotional. And maybe those stories of empathy and compassion and how you're looking after the emotional and psychological and physical well-being of your people would be a great first step in telling your story, particularly in view of the global pandemic that we've all gone through. Authentic storytelling can drive new talent towards your organization, as well as help retain and engage people who are already with you. And if done well, effective storytelling, it affects brain chemicals and it drives people to take action. And that's what we want people to do. Action is what we need. We want people either to apply to your business, to advocate your business as a great place to work, or equally to read your story and understand why it's not right for them. And storytelling is a great way to get people to care about something or provoke authentic emotion. Through stories, we have an opportunity to transport people into another world. And when we do that, we can build that tension. And in our daily lives, we avoid tension, but in storytelling, it's that tension that keeps us interested. And we can break the tension by giving the audience something to do. Apply for this job, donate to this charity, buy from this brand. So when we're storytelling, we're building that oh so important emotional connection with our audiences that we all look to strive for. And everybody loves a good story. It's what wins Pulitzer Prizes, Academy Awards. It's what raises eyebrows and wine glasses at book clubs and prompts smiles and sometimes shivers around the campfire. And stories should be front and center of how you attract people to your business and equally dissuade those who aren't right. In this competitive market for talent globally, with the best employees very much planted in the driving seat, you need a well-crafted narrative with an attention-grabbing beginning, a page-turning middle, and a brilliant end. And as an HR professional or a comms professional, you've witnessed firsthand that simply posting content or posting a job listing is not enough to attract top talent to your organization. You may have tried to throw out really impressive company statistics, profit, growth, and all of those key numbers and key metrics while you're interviewing or while you're advertising. But even those impressive numbers don't necessarily set you apart from the competition. And it's your story that makes you stand out. It's innately exciting to humans when they see it and read it, and it generates interests, it promotes deeper connections, and it's an extremely persuasive way to talk and engage. And in the end, people aren't going to remember necessarily what you said. People aren't going to remember necessarily what you did, but they are going to remember how you made them feel. And often we think that sharing facts or stats will help us drive home a point. I find that storytelling helps even more. If you can craft a story that's relatable to others, then the light bulbs go off much quicker and they feel an emotional connection with you and your organization. And that's why it's so important to remember that stories are memorable, but stats aren't. And thinking about this in terms of recruiting people, it's super smart to think about the story that your company tells. Why should people work for you? Not because you're number one, but what is a compelling reason why people join your company? Imagine if you shared the stories of the successes of people in your organization and the way that your teams celebrate one another. How have you made a difference to your community? You allow people to picture themselves through stories in your business, and that creates the right emotional connection in the right way. It's all around show rather than don't tell. And thoughts, it engenders thoughts are, these are my people, and we start populating our business with potential recruits. Hiring those that fit the mold of our story lands the best fit for our team. The stories you tell matter in how others see themselves, just like in the Like a Girl campaign. I don't know if you're familiar or you've seen that, but it's worth looking at. If great expectations are part of your storytelling, then greatness will follow. And companies are increasingly focused on who they are and their culture. But while you can describe your culture, candidates will always be left wondering, do you live that culture, or is that a culture that you wish to have as an organization? And if you show rather than tell, you're putting your proof where your promise is, and you're showing life through your storytelling within your organization. A recent study suggests that by telling their brand story well, organizations have the power to increase the value of a product by over 20 times. And 92% of consumers want brands to make ads feel like a story. Here in the UK at Christmas, a lot of the large supermarkets and retailers, they invest massively in bringing the story of their brand to life in a very emotional way. And messages delivered as stories can be up to 22 times more memorable. Yet, despite these stats, storytelling isn't talked about a lot in HR, in an HR and recruiting context, as it should be, in my opinion. And in telling a good story, there are 5 key elements. There are the characters, there are the settings, there's the plot, the conflict, and the resolution. But in terms of hiring in recruitment and HR, you don't have all of those. So your story generally emanates from the story of your brand and how it relates to the applicant, a candidate, or an employee. And the specifics of your brand story are ultimately up to you, but they're often dictated by your unique journey and your evolution. And there are several kind of key considerations to keep in mind. You won't always be the hero of your story. As humans, we're used to making ourselves the hero, but in the recruiting world, I would argue that's exactly what you don't want to do. The story isn't about you, and sometimes the story isn't even about your company, and that's okay. Instead, focus your efforts on creating a story centered around your target audience, around what they need, what their drivers are, and connect with them on an emotional level. It's important in your storytelling that you need to be authentic. Storytelling is intended to build trust and form lasting relationships. It's important that as an organization, you don't try to be something that you're not, or you don't pretend to have everything right inside that isn't. Show your vulnerability, be authentic, be honest, and be human. And the reader will ultimately, in a recruitment context, if the promise that you make through your story is wrong, when they join you, they will find out that it is wrong and you will experience attrition. Keep it, if you're going to be authentic and you're going to be human, it's important to be conversational in the way that you tell your story. Be relatively human. Use language and imagery that resonates and isn't cold and puts people off. Keep your story short and sweet. Unnecessary details often detract from a story, and the more concise you keep the story, the more likely it is to have a positive impact on the candidate or the employee that you're speaking with. And as I said earlier, as a recruiter, you've probably realized that simply posting a job listing is not going to be enough to attract top talent to your organization. It will get lost in the sea of other job listings. And similarly, career sites full of photos of colorful open floor plan offices and all of the pool tables and table tennis tables might look attractive, but it won't set you apart from all of the other organizations who've got exactly the same. And it's a sad irony that if everybody is relying on the same things to stand out, then all organizations start to look the same. So your story can really help you truly stand out from the sea of competition. Other companies may have similar job descriptions, deco, downtime activities, but nobody else has your story. This is every company's most underutilized secret weapon, and organizations need to start telling their story better. I'm often said that a lot of the content within business is boring. That may be so, but there is always an angle to bring that content to life through storytelling. And often the concept of a company story can be a little vague. And often when people try to discuss company culture or company values, they end up reciting platitudes that sound nice, but really don't translate into anything. Even worse, they sound like every other company's mantra said over and over again to the point of becoming cliche. The good thing about stories is that they cut through the attention span. Our brain is designed to filter out most of what we throw at it. Think of yourself watching TV ads or as parents talking to kids. We like to think that what we are saying goes into people's attention inbox, but most of that material isn't memorable, meaningful, or emotional. It's not a story. So it goes into what I call attention spam. And a story is the secret weapon to cut through attention spam. We're obsessed with telling people facts, particularly in business. And I call this infatuation. You need to avoid it. Stories wrap facts in emotion and empathy, and then people start to engage and learn something. Storytelling makes us care. Tell me about a story about you, and I'm more likely to care about who you are. And story works because it's universal. It's all about trust and empathy. Our lives and identities are written in the story. No tribal culture on the planet doesn't have storytelling. The same cannot be said for Excel or PowerPoint. Numbers, they numb us. Stories, they stir us. I thank you for listening to mine. I encourage you to create yours. What's your story? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. It was really inspiring. Thank you a lot. And you have lots of comments in the chat, and people are grateful for your speech and for the presentation. We have two questions, but let me please read the first one, and if you can answer the second one in the chat, because we don't have lots of time right now to answer both of them. So the first question is, how do we ensure that the story we tell for acquisition is engaging enough for our target markets? So how can we be sure before we started it, before we launched it?
I think that is it kind of you've got to understand what are the drivers and motivations of your target market. That's one thing. The first thing is that in terms of creating your story internally, you know, your employer brand and your EVP are important elements, constituent parts to that, but it's ensuring that you engage with your audience on their terms and by understanding their drivers and their motivations, you create the story that support and align to what they're looking for in your business.
Great.
Does that help?
Yes, yes, Ken, great. And the second question is about the stories of culture during the COVID times.
Yes.
It sounds like, how can we share stories of our culture in a time of COVID, where we are all working remotely? If you have cases you want to share, you can do it after the speech. I mean, you can send it to the chat, or you can briefly answer right now.
I think COVID changed everything, and I think when you are working remotely, you have to work much harder to collaborate and co-create with colleagues. And I think you can set up systems and ways of working in your business that encourage people to be ambassadors of your organization and enable them to tell their stories independently through structured content programs.
Great. Thank you. If you will find any other cases you will be able, or you will think it will be interesting to share, please send it to the chat of this Zoom meeting, because it can be interesting for all the people who are watching right now. Thank you, Ken. Let's move to the next speaker. Right now we were in the United Kingdom, and we are moving directly to France. And please meet the next speaker, Natalia Isakova, who is the managing director of Danone France. And Natalia will tell us how to stay yourself as a brand, but be modern during this time when everything is changing so fast. I see Natasha. Hi, Natasha.
Yes.
I
Hi.
just introduced you. It's nice
You
to see
just
you.
introduced me as a managing director of Danone France. I'm not there yet. I'm the marketing manager, but one day, obviously.
Sorry for this. You can correct me.
No, but in the description, it's fine. What was written, so it's okay. Do you see my screen?
We see you, but I think in a second we will see your screen. Yes, right now.
Perfect. You see it now. Yes. So hi everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you today. And actually, after the previous presentation, I think I will have much less to say because it's super in line with what was said. And I will just start by giving an example of how you can communicate your stories during COVID times from my company, from Danone, not to promote this company, just to share. So here in France, our CEO, at the beginning of pandemic, he announced that no one will be fired in Danone during 2020, despite the difficult economic situation. And he announced it not only internally, but externally as well. And obviously gave a great image for the company and for the employees and potential employees. When other companies, they were firing people. So if it's a good example, I share it. I was proud at that moment to be part of Danone, and I felt myself safe. Now I see that Igor, he writes to me that I might not be now it's better, Igor, in terms of the sound. Okay, I hope yes. My subject today, what I wanted to share with you is this paradox, I would say, and this necessity to choose. Either you want to be yourself, whatever happens in the world, or you want to stay up to date and follow the fashion, what is in the trends today, etc. And now I will start with a bit of concept. Actually, this is a very simple example of how the world is changing, and the pace of the evolution is huge. And here I took 10 years slots, and actually you would see that what happened in 2019 is no longer relevant in 2021. So 2001, Britney Spears, no iPhone, Nokia. 2011, we had Rihanna, we had the openness, and we had already iPhone, and now 2021, the icon of pop culture is Cardi B. She cannot be more open as versus what she is, and we have iPhone 12. So the world changes super fast, and us actually, we need to adapt as well, as people, as brands, and as companies, because otherwise we will be forgotten, and not as Nokia was forgotten. And I will give you one single example here of the speed of change based on my experience in France. So 2019, all the companies of dairy products were working on organic products, because organic products is top of the top today. We need to buy them. It's the best. These are the best products. 2020 comes and people no longer believe in organic products, and they just want to buy something which is made here next to them. And now all the investment which we've done to be able to produce organic products are no longer relevant. So you need to adapt very fast, and we speak about big money usually. And speaking about money, actually, for many years, companies and brands were investing a lot to be heard, to tell their stories. And the thing is that consumers today, they are drawn in the amounts of stories, messages, which in the end are super similar. And the question which me as a marketeer or people as HR as well, we need to ask ourselves is how we could still have an impact here. And this is the switch from the beginning of the 21st century to 2021. The question is actually not how to invest massively, but how to massively impact people. And why it's important as well is because you might know this, marketing and people are two most expensive things for companies today. So big companies, they tend to save money on marketing, not on people. So we need to make smarter choices. And here I would give one of my favorite examples. I hope the link will work on how you could invest really little, but have a huge impact. And that's exactly what is my first message about. Please tell me if it works. I hope it will. So in the end, just to summarize what they, stop now. What they did in the end is that versus all other big companies which decided to invest a lot, millions of dollars to put their commercial during the Super Bowl, they decided, maybe they didn't have money, they decided to play differently and they won. So this is the message from mass investment to mass impact. Now, switch the slide up. Voilà. The second message is actually, how could you, in this world of millions of messages, how could you still be unique and stand out? And the key question is actually never follow what others they are doing. It's so easy to see that everyone will be communicating about Halloween because it's the moment of the year. And so I will do as well, just because everyone does it. But the thing is that you should always ask yourself, will you have something specific? Will you have a certain message to pass, which will make you stand out versus others? And this is super key in everything you do. Me working on a big FMCG brand, I see very often all these moments during the year. Okay, now it's Halloween, now it's St. Valentine's Day, so let's do something. Just because everyone does. No, that's not the right approach. The right approach is to say, do I have something to say on this? Do I have my point of view on this? And only in this case, you do it. Avoid copying others. You could be inspired by them, but never copying them. And another example on this is Cadbury cream egg. So obviously for the pack, it's everyone will be playing around the eggs. But what they did, Cadbury, they went really further to play around the eggs and really communicate overall around the subject. So what they hid actually the eggs in the stores, and the consumers, they were supposed to find it. And no other company or no other brand, I would say, could do it better because they're super relevant on this. And they stood out versus just different posts on Instagram from the companies. Yes, today it's back, so we need to celebrate. So one more time, be outstanding in standing out. First of all, stand out, and then act uniquely. So far so good. Don't invest a lot, invest wisely, stand out. But then there is my huge conviction as a marketeer in the world, is that you should always stay yourself. I always treat my brands as personalities, as human beings. We tend usually to follow what is trendy, what is in fashion, so we lose ourselves. And I believe that brands, they should not do like this. They should stay themselves. Obviously, you need to listen to what is happening. Obviously, you need to keep your hand on the pulse, but at the same time, you should never forget who you are, because otherwise you will become as everyone else. And at this moment, we will come back to the first point, that everyone does the same and no one stands out. And here you see this image of vegetables. And if I have a perfect carrot and this carrot, I would definitely choose this one, because this one looks unique and natural, I would say as well. And here, another example, which I fully love, from France this time. It's a car from Citroën. You would say it's an ugly one. But they assume this, and this car exists for years in France, and it's still iconic because they never gave up on who they are, whatever were the trends. So here you see three commercials, and I put the translation just next to it. If you really need 300 horseback in Paris, go to the Hippodrome. So in the end, yes, it's not the fastest car, but it's good for Paris. In Paris, you will never move fast. Or surprisingly, our designer was not fired. Yes, you might think it's ugly, but it's us. The car is like this, and we will not give up on this, because otherwise it will be no longer this car. So this is my huge conviction, and I encourage you, not only in your work, not only on the brands, not only for the companies, but for you as people, always stay yourself, even if it's not welcome sometimes. So the question in the end, after what I've said, should you stay true to yourself, or should you keep up to date? And here I will go fast with a couple of examples, because I have no more time actually, with a couple of examples from the pandemic of 2020. I think that's a great example when there was this situation of today, And I loved watching companies and brands adapting to this situation. And I will share a couple of really great examples in my point of view, and some examples when the brands forgot who they were. So first of all, obviously, I will speak about Burger King. So here, this is a brand with lots of humor, with lots of audacity, and that's what they played throughout 2020. This is the first example. Okay, this is simple. The message is stay home and not home of the Whopper. You cannot go there. Another great example from France is when they proposed, because Burger King was closed, you cannot go there. So they dared to propose people cook Burger King, the burgers, at home, the Whoppers. So can you imagine another brand saying, don't buy us, you cannot buy us, but you can do it yourself. So they put at risk their sales, their long-term sales maybe, but they stay themselves. And that's what it works. And that's why now today they are winning versus McDonald's after even the end, I would say, of lockdown here in France. This I will not pass. And the last example from Burger King from the pandemic period is that they went even further, and this is an international case, and they encourage people to order from McDonald's just to invite people continue supporting companies, restaurants, etc., because they really needed their support. And one more time, it's so in the personality of the brand that you fully accept it and you go back to Burger King and you will not go to McDonald's. So it's super smart. And then I love the Metro that replied, thank you, Burger King, but let's support as well small restaurants and not huge chains. Another great example of how you could stay yourself and still adapt and be up to date, it's Nike. Two examples. They played more in, not around the brand, but in supporting the messages from the governments to stay home, to put the masks. And I think it's beautiful because it's so the brand, and at the same time, it's so in the context of today. And now a couple of examples, which me personally, you might challenge me, I don't find nice, exactly for the fact that they addressed the context, but they forgot who they are. So in my opinion, they didn't have the legacy to speak on the subject. So, no, sorry, I forgot. I have another great example, please, which is about HR branding. I will put it, if I see, up. It's BBDO. And I love it because it shows how companies, they could as well support their workers.
Natasha, thank you a lot for your speech. Is it the final case you wanted to show or not?
No, but if you tell me to stop, I will stop.
If you have
can.
just few of the cases to show, we will give you the screen.
Yes.
But okay, let's return
Yes,
the
super
presentation,
fast.
please.
Just to show when the companies, they follow the context and they forget what they're standing for. I have lots of respect to that brand, but I think what they did during pandemic, showing the doctors, is not the best case because they played on emotions, not in a relevant for the brand way. And I will stop here. I wanted to share as well that on case, but I stop here just to let other speakers have their time. That's it for me, Igor.
I loved the fact that you used this quarantine situation as the example of a Guerrilla using of it. So not only channels we can use, but we can use the situation which is around us. And the last cases you showed were great. All cases were great, but the last showed how this situation can be used. Thank you very much. Please, if you will have any questions, stay to answer these questions, and I will pass the mic quickly to the next speaker because we're short of time. Thank you. And the next speaker is Pavel Tutyaev. We are staying in France, and Pavel today is a beauty tech manager la Roche-Posay, French pronunciation, Roche-Posay International in L'Oreal. But Pavel was working for a long time in human resources, and he will tell us the case of how to use collaborations to make your company more interesting for the candidates. Hi, Pavel.
Hi, Igor. Hi, everyone. Happy to be with you. Thank you so much for the invitation. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to share with you my screen.
I think that your presentation will appear on the screen in a second of you. Yes?
Normally,
Yes, we can.
normally it should be fine.
Great.
So I make a full screen. So hi again, everyone. Today I'm going to share with you the case that I've done several years ago with the topic that, well, I was trying to make a little bit provocative, is how another company can help you to attract young talents. Just before I start to speak about the case, just a couple of words so you understand what am I doing here, why I was invited, and actually where this whole case is coming from. So my name is Pavel, and I'm working at L'Oreal, and I'm working at L'Oreal for basically the whole of my career, for around 10 years. For 5 years, I was working in the Russian subsidiary of L'Oreal, where I was in talent acquisition, and I was responsible for attraction and recruitment of the young talents. Then I moved to France, where I was responsible for the global case competition called Brandstorm, and also I was the head of young graduate recruitment, but at this moment for all over the globe. And now what I'm doing is I changed completely my sphere, and now I'm working on a business side. I'm working for the brand that is called La Roche-Posay, and I'm responsible for the digital services. For instance, over here you can see one of the tools that we're using in order to analyze people's skin using the artificial intelligence. So that's about me. I'm obviously going to talk about my past life, my HR life, and the case that I want to give you is related to one of the very, let's say, strong insights that we have. The insight is that the cosmetic industry, it wasn't the obvious choice for male candidates. And in certain cases, in certain countries, it is still the case. When students are thinking where they want to go, and we ask them without giving them any options, the cosmetic companies normally are not pumping up just immediately. So the challenge that we had back then when I was in Russia was that, well, we need to balance the teams, because we know that the diversity is something that makes the teams the most efficient. So in order to achieve diversity, we needed to make sure that we are becoming much more attractive for the male candidates, because, well, for the females, it was pretty good. We received tens of thousands of CVs per year. But then when it came to males, obviously the ratio was much lower. So this was our main challenge. And then we started to think, okay, so what can we do? And we started to look at the companies that are actually already at the place where we want to be. We took the Universum ranking in Russia. It was 2015, and we looked, okay, which companies are in top, and which companies make sense to collaborate with. Because, well, some industries would probably just not be the good partnerships. So we narrow it down to several ones, and then we decided to pick McKinsey & Company. Why? Because, well, they were on the top list. They were number 2 of desirable companies for males. They were a number 1 company for high achievers, for high PO candidates. They were number 7 in overall ranking in Russia, same by Universum. And what was really interesting is that McKinsey was facing a kind of similar issue as we did, but vice versa, meaning they're super attractive for males, but they were struggling for attracting the female candidates because of the specificity of the industry. So we found the common ground with them. We said, guys, probably it would be interesting to do something together. And this is how we came to this concept, that we need to join forces to attract these hypo candidates of both genders by using the communication synergy. You know, two very strong brands together that can really be a great, a powerful tool in order to attract both males and females. And so we started to think, okay, how basically we can do it, how we can make this happen. And we created an idea that, okay, we need to make an event where we can gather the best of the best candidates of both genders with a very, very strict 50-50 ratio. But prior to that, obviously, we need to do a strong communication. The communication was really the core of the whole concept, because it allowed us to put this, let's say, very new, very innovative concept of collaboration between two companies that business-wise have almost nothing in common. And so it was really, really a game changer in the eyes of many different students. You know, many students who were considering one company but never considered the other one, they saw the communication, they said, wow, that's something that I'm really interested in. This is something I really want to do. So we changed the perception, and obviously we went wide, we went really wild in our communication. We reached the case clubs, we did some presentations, we did some leaflets, we did some social media, database activations, we partnered with some agencies. So we went really, really 360. And what we achieved was that they were almost 300,000 reach. And we were specifically targeting the biggest and the most, let's say, known schools in the country, in the biggest cities. So we were not even covering the whole country. And what we saw was that the CTR, so the conversion, was around 6%, which was way higher than, let's say, a classical HR communication back at the time. So what we did was the assessment center. So we did a very, very thorough selection process in order to make sure that A, we get these high potential candidates, and B, we get what the both companies were looking for, is we're getting the good ratio in terms of genders. So we did a CV screening. We got around 1,000 CVs, out of which there were 46% males, then the analytical test, then the phone interviews, and then the in-person assessment with 78 participants with a very, very accurate 50-50 balance in terms of genders. And what happened there is basically, so L'Oreal provided the case based on, you know, the real market situation, and the McKinsey consultants were there to help the students to actually solve this case. So also it was a very, let's say, interactive format of the event itself. In terms of achievement, of course, we achieved to identify and hire very strong candidates, males, but also the females. It was also part of the deal with McKinsey that, well, we do it with the main goal for us to hire males, but if there are some great females who are really interested to work for us, no problem. And it was vice versa. We also achieved our secondary target, which was to increase the attractiveness in all the rankings, specifically in the universal ranking. And so, to be very specific in terms of our achievements and the KPIs, so we identified during the event, we identified 26 interesting profiles, while 73% of them were males. We recruited 14 of them and 8 were males, so very quite good ratio. During this year, 35% of all male candidates, male interns that we recruited were coming from this event. So it became the biggest source of male candidates this year. And we achieved our secondary target. So we moved up by 28 positions in the universal ranking in the attractiveness for the male students. right? So we consider this as a very, very like strong and impactful and a great way, you know, to really tackle the issue, the challenge that we had. And so in terms of learnings, what we understood is that, first of all, it was a very, very right decision to join forces. Just so you know, so right after this project, I moved to France, I moved to the international team of talent acquisition, but then the team continued this practice and they tried a different industry. They partnered with BMW because automotive is obviously another industry that is very, very attractive for the males. And it also was a great event. They made a massive communication. They capitalized on the power of the brand because, well, in today's world, and this is another learning that we had, was that people, I mean, students, sometimes they were not driven by some, let's say, factual things. For instance, I don't know, the salary in the particular company or the benefits, or, you know, like, where is the office? They were more driven at the very beginning by the power of the brand. You know, they knew that like McKinsey is a very strong brand. They knew that like L'Oreal is a very strong brand. BMW is a very strong brand product wise. And so these brands, I believe that still it is the case that they are driving a lot of the consideration when students are thinking, you know, where they want to go, the company A or company B. And the last learning was basically the test and learn. You know, we did this whole project within couple of months from the moment when we met with McKinsey for the first, like on the first meeting or the first gathering until the moment we had the final event. It was 2.5 months, I believe. We didn't spend like tons of money and we shared the cost 50-50. So it was also something that was very good in terms of ROI. So yeah, my recommendation here is to try this kind of activities, this kind of collaborations, to join forces in a very, let's say, not common and sometimes not obvious way. Even though this project is dated like 6 years ago, I believe that today it would still be like the massive success, maybe with some tailorings, but still it would be the massive success to do something like that. And thank you. This is basically it from my side.
Thank you, Pavel. I think the main learning we can take from this case, from this story, and I think it's great learning, and it's a great case for everyone who is listening, that you shouldn't afraid to collaborate with companies that you think were your competitors. Competitors today, the companies who are competitors today can be helpful for you tomorrow. So I love this idea, and thank you a lot for sharing this case with us. And
It's a pleasure.
let's move forward. Again, please, if you can stay a little bit in the chat to answer questions if we will have any. And thank you for your speech. Thank you, Pavel.
Thank you as well.
The next speaker will tell us the case of a strange usage of the cities. So we will say how Guerrilla can use the big buildings in the city center, and this is our colleague, and she's connecting from our yes, from our branch office. And here is Margarita Mkrtchyan, who is the manager group head at Make Love, and she will tell the great case.
Yeah, thank you, Igor. It's so nice to see you, to be here with you. So exciting. Yeah, so I can start, yes?
Yes, please share your presentation, and you can easily start. And
okay, can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. And
okay.
Thank you.
Yes, great. Thank you again. It's so nice to be here with you. Igor introduced me, but I can do it myself, actually. Yes, here are my contacts. If you want some, I don't know, my friendship with me, it will be great. And today I want to tell you about our project with MTS, our client, and a really interesting project. I hope it will be interesting for you too, and maybe useful in your work. So if I told you that a fountain can be a communication channel with IT specialists, it sounds great, yes, it sounds interesting, and I think you're intrigued, so let's start. About background, MTS, our client, is one of the 3 largest telecom companies in Russia, and at that point of time, MTS decided to start an ambitious transformation and become a high-tech IT company. So they were looking for IT specialists. It was decided to start from Krasnodar region, a region in which IT specialists actually didn't exist, didn't consider, MTS as employer of choice. So our task to form the image of MTS in Krasnodar as a modern IT company among target audience, so IT specialists and IT students. And we decided to use a PR approach and media influence. Solution. So if you Google Krasnodar, you will find out that a city is known as the city of fountains, and fountains are the most popular sites among both tourists and locals. And by the way, it's very interesting and important that the largest dancing fountain in Europe is located in Krasnodar, in city center of Krasnodar, and called Aurora. So you can see it on picture is Aurora Park and Aurora Fountain. And after a series of brainstorm, we decided that Aurora perfectly suits the scale of our project and should buy its central object. So any dancing fountain actually is a programmable machine. As we know, what can be programmed can be hacked. Yes. Okay. So after this brainstorms, and because of all this information, we decided to launch hackathon, which participants were able to stage their own show on the main square using the city's fountain, using the Aurora, the largest dancing fountain in Europe. Again, I think it's so cool. And they can win 100,000 rubles, by the way. Okay, about production of our project. This stage was divided into several. The first one is inner project approval. We had some problems with this, but it's okay, it's a normal situation actually. The second one, event approval with the city administration. Since the show planned to be in the center of Krasnodar, we had to approve this event with city's administration, with the police, with fire safety service, and so on. And the most hard part in production was the technical part, of course. Okay, how does the fountain works? Actually, as I said, the fountain is a programmable machine with a lot of pumps, a lot of nozzles, and its own programming language. We invited the participants to write a program that could convert any song into the correct code for the fountain. to make it dance, to make, this is example of code for fountain. And participants should write the code, the program that converts song into a code and make fountain dance using water, using lights, music, and so on. Promo. We created a landing page with, we created a landing page with contest rules, prizes, with all information about this project, and register form. You can see this landing. I think it's really pretty, actually. To obtain leads, we use target posts in social networks like Instagram, like Vkontakte. Vkontakte is a Russian Facebook, actually, and it works really well in Russia. So we use that, and we publish posts in universities pages. Here are some examples, and we attract bloggers, of course. The final show, the result, actually, what we have. So for best show, for best works from our project, were shown to Krasnodar citizen on the real fountain in Aurora Park. You remember, the largest dancing fountain in Europe. Yeah, and more than 2,000 people came to our event, as well as television, journalists, and bloggers. And their video allowed to increase the coverage of our project. And I want to show you a little video with a winner show, and you can see just how great and how beautiful it was. So great, right? Okay, and our results in some numbers. We managed to attract 280 specialists, and the campaign awareness was 3 million people. And here are some of our awards. And I really like this project. I'm really proud of this. I hope you like it too. And actually, this is it, Igor.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Rita. And normally, after each speech, I try to sum up the speech and find something interesting. And here, in this case, I have two things which I want to show everyone again. The first one, guerrilla marketing can use big objects, even fountains in the cities, and it will work, and that's great. And the second thing is that here, please pay attention to this thing in this case. Here in this case, our target audience, these guys, IT guys who came to Hackathon, weren't our final target audience. Our target audience were all people from this region. So we used this hackathon and the show as a PR activity, which made people from the whole region understand that this company, MTS, is great company for IT guys. Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Igor.
Thank you for being brief, because now we again we can not hurry because we have enough time for other speakers. Thank you. And right now, the second part is over. I mean, the international cases part is over, and it's time for the quiz. So please, if you are here, be attentive. I am starting my presentation with the quiz, and I will be rather fast to finish in time, and so you have to be fast as well to answer these questions. The presentation is here on the screen, and these questions again are based on the presentations of the people, of the speakers from the second part, from the international part. So please answer, what was the main challenge for both L'Oreal and McKinsey prior to the project? Hard to hire high potential candidates, hard to hire foreign candidates, hard to hire candidates of certain origin, or hard to hire candidates of certain gender? What was the main challenge for both L'Oreal and McKinsey? By the way, great case. Look at it again when you will have time. I want to say while you are answering that we will share this presentation with you. It will be video which you can look again afterwards, or you can share with your friends or colleagues to give them these great insights. Let's move to the next question. What was the secondary target of the collaborative event of L'Oreal Russia? Do the mapping of key campuses, drive more traffic to Korea's website, improve attractiveness among males in top student rankings, or impress big bosses? Maybe it's the fourth. What was the secondary target of the collaborative event for L'Oreal Russia? Let's move to the next question. What programming language is used to operate Fountain? Java, C++, JavaScript, or its own unique language? What programming language was used to operate a fountain? Next question. I said that it will be rather fast. Which city has the largest dancing fountain in Europe? Paris, Barcelona, Krasnodar, or Rome? I think you guessed already that the answer was in Rita's presentation in the last one. But please answer, was it Paris, Barcelona, Krasnodar, or Rome? And one more question. Great storytelling can, but you have to choose only the wrong answer. Only the wrong answer. It can help leaders influence, teach and inspire. It help organizations win the hearts and minds of the audience. It can help forge connections among people, between people and ideas. And it can help hire more diverse workforce. You should look for the answer in the great speech of Ken's speech about storytelling. So please choose the wrong one. And the last question. What is more important in today's world? You have only two choices, only two variants. Mass investment or mass impact. Sorry for the numbers in the presentation, but still you can answer whether it's investments or impact. That's all. That's the end of the second quiz. I hope you hurried and you managed to answer. And I want to pass together with you to the third part of our third and final part of our conference, which will be devoted to the local South African cases. And I want to invite here in the studio Noma Rebe, sorry for my pronunciation, who is working in Mil Africa. And Noma Rebe will tell us about the marriage between the marketing and HR. We will discuss and hear. Hi, Noma. Nice to see you.
Hi there.
How are you?
Nice to meet everybody.
You know, today, before we started, I even counted what is the distance between our office and your location where you will be from, and it's 9,000 kilometers. So we are so far, but still we are together in one conference. So it's really nice to see you here.
Nice to be here.
So
I'm going to
Norma,
share my
please share the presentation.
screen.
Yes, and you can start.
Thank you.
And your presentation will appear on the mutual screen.
Okay, please do let me know when it's showing.
Yes, it's showed. It's right now. It's on the screen.
Okay, perfect. Right. So before I start, as I was preparing for the presentation and thinking about the topic of the marriage between HR and marketing, I couldn't help but think about my experience when I was working for one of the big banks in South Africa. And I was sitting in a group marketing meeting, and my ExCo member, who was the HR director at that time, was in the meeting, as well as the marketing director. And in my trying to convince the organization to have marketing and HR work together, I then blurted out the words, we need to have a marriage between HR and marketing, and it should be a marriage that is made in heaven. And I could see the confusion in everybody's face in terms of, what do you mean? As it is, we don't see why we need to work together. And there I was really trying to push my case and convince the organization to do so. So as I was preparing, I just thought to myself, this marriage between HR and marketing is very critical for talent engagement. And when I think of an analogy, is that it is like the correct pair of dance shoes that are required to execute a great piece. And looking back at some of the speakers that have spoken before me, I could see how when this is done well, it really benefits the organization, and it sends a very strong and single message to your talent audience. Are my slides moving? Okay, can everybody still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and at the last moment your slides started moving, so please do as you did, because it works. Thank you.
Okay, great. So as I've been introduced, my name is Norma Chawechepe, and I'm the CE for Mill Africa. I started my career in the Institution of Higher Learning, and I was a lecturer for about 4 years, and that's where my passion for talent development started. I then moved over to corporate, where I worked for the two big banks, one of the two big banks in South Africa, as an internal engagement specialist, as well as an employer brand specialist. I currently hold a postgrad in marketing management, and I am busy with my master's study in creative brand leadership, where I'm again looking at how branding and culture are needed in an organization in order to build ambassadorship. I'm passionate about talent engagement, talent enablement, and talent empowerment. And just lastly, I do need to start focusing on my hobbies. I've just been working right through, and I realized that I do need to take a bit of a break. Right, so today I'm going to be sharing two cases which really showcase how the alignment and collaboration between marketing and HR is important. The first one is a video of one of the financial services organization called Investec. And the other one is between actually two organizations. And one of the campaigns is a campaign I had worked on where HR and marketing did not work together. And you could see how it ended up causing quite a big problem within the organization itself and between these two banks. And then lastly, I'll just share some of the lessons that I've learned in the work that I've done in the past. I'm going to play this video is on YouTube, so you're not going to be able to see the video, but I'd like to ask that you listen quite attentively so that you can hear what comes through in terms of the message itself.
Hold on. Stop. Don't swipe left. Don't swipe right. Don't click next. Just give me a couple minutes of your time. It'll be worth it. So, here you are. You've worked hard to get you. But that degree is much more than just a fancy piece of paper. It represents years of classes, exams, late nights, and your survival on nothing but a student's shoestring budget. It represents you already conquering a few of life's mountains. It's certainly been an expedition, but you've made it this far. You probably know that you still have a lot to learn, but you also know that you didn't work this hard for second best. You probably have a good idea of where you're going, and you're equipped to take on any mountain that you find on your journey. And while you're climbing to the top, you should consider what you want along the way. That set of wheels you love, or a set of keys to your first home. The opportunity to invest and make your money work for you, and even the chance to get some international working experience and see the world. You sure have potential. And here at Investec, we know just how to spot potential. We recognize the person you're poised to become, a leader, a maverick, a trailblazer. Investec is all about simple yet sophisticated banking and investments, both locally and internationally, all in one place. Sophisticated day-to-day private banking with no transactional fees and a credit facility. But it's not all just about what you get. Investec believes in a personal connection with all of our clients. Your specialist private banker will be there to support you every single step of the way throughout your life. Yes, it's all about you. We bank on you because you're way ahead of the curve. Now, you need to stay ahead. Stay ahead with the leading international private bank. There's a world of opportunity out there, reserved just for you. All you need to do is grab it.
Right. I hope not seeing the video itself did not distract you much, and that you had what was happening in terms of the execution that Investec did back in 2016, where it was mainly about the products that they were selling to their young professionals. However, the first 2 minutes of the video, you could clearly hear how they are speaking to young professionals, not only from a banking and a product point of view, but speaking holistically to that individual. And you could easily use that as part of your talent marketing, video. So Investec has always kind of done this so well in the market, and that's why we see that they've always kept a #1 spot in terms of being regarded as the best employer, because the experience that you get from Investec, whether you're coming on as a client or coming on as talent, it is seamless, it is the same, and their messaging really cuts across, whether they're speaking to one as talent or speaking to one as a professional that they could bank within, their organization. So that is a case I just wanted to show how HR and marketing, when they work together, you're really able to come up with a single message that is usable and repurposed, regardless of whether you are doing an HR or marketing campaign. And then the second case is actually something that I had worked on personally at a time when I was working for Nedbank. It was back in 2017, and we had just relaunched our brand, and there were changes that were happening. And I then also had to come up with a new campaign for our grad program. And what we then came up with is, what is your next step? And we worked with our below the line agency to come up with this campaign that we would go out with to engage our young talent and make sure that we've got the right applicants that come through the system. It was approved by marketing. However, at the time, we were still struggling to work together with marketing. And after it was approved, we then put it out in all the different platforms that we used for our great program, marketing and engagement. And after about 3 to 4 weeks of having had this advert go out, I got a call from Legal. And Legal was contacted by Standard Bank South Africa, where we were questioned about the use of the words, "What's your next?" in our campaign, and asking us to obviously pull down every advert that we had put out at the time because they had a trademark in the words, "What's your next?" So clearly here you could see that when HR and marketing don't work together, it could really cause major issues. And because they had a trademark, if marketing was involved in our campaigns as HR, they would have easily picked up that we cannot use these words because, you know, in the payoff line, because Standard Bank was using it actually for one of their personal banking campaigns. And Standard Bank, as much as it was executed quite well from a banking product point of view, they also did not use it in their career space, and particularly speaking to young professionals. And so my argument was that, well, we're using it in our talent marketing space, and they're using it in the client marketing space. And you know, the trademark really spoke to the products themselves. And we were talking about your next step in terms of your career. However, you know, legal and marketing realized that we would end up paying quite a high fee. And so we had to pull down all the ads that we had put out and go back to the drawing board. So again, here, it was a case of when marketing and HR are not working together, you can go out to market having very different messages, even when there is an opportunity to have a good and strong campaign that could be used both for your talent audience as well as your, you know, your client audience. You lose the opportunity when you are not, you know, going out together to be able to speak. In most cases, that you'd find that it's actually the same individual that you are talking to, but you are sending different messages, and yet you are the same company. So these are one of the things that for me were quite a clear indication why the collaboration and what I refer to as the marriage is quite a critical one, and that organizations need to focus on it. And so in terms of the lessons that I learned throughout my 10 years of working in the financial services industry, and particularly in the employer brand space, is that is what I refer to first of all as ABC, aligning your brand and culture. That comes through quite clearly and quite strongly in Investec, that when you are engaging with the brand messages and you are actually engaging with the individuals that work at Investec, you get to experience both the brand and the culture. And so it's important that marketing as brand owners really engage HR as culture owners to ensure that we've got very clear messaging that goes out to market and that speaks to both our culture as well as our brand. And in that case, you are able to actually build a strong brand equity that is driven by both marketing and HR. The second point is that you've got to share your segment and profile information. So again, if you look at the case between Nedbank and Standard Bank, we were both talking to the same audience, but Nedbank was coming to the audience from a career point of view, and Standard Bank was talking to the same audience, but from from a banking product point of view. But when organizations actually sit together as HR and marketing, and you share what you've come up in terms of the data and insights that you have about the segment and the profile of the person that you need to market to, you are really able to come up with quite a strong message that will stick and land, because as that one organization, you've got a single message that is going to the same audience. And then in terms of employee experience and client experience, again, you've got to ensure that what you communicate from your EVP does align to your CVP. Because for an example, if again you take a Nedbank that had worked for about 10 years, whenever we market it to our employees and in terms of our CVP and talking about the products, they sometimes did not align so well to the EVP. And the second point is that you obviously want your CVP to be, executed by your employees. Now, if they're not getting a good experience from your employee value proposition and that employee experience, how do you then foresee them being able to deliver a good experience for your clients? So these two things, they do need to align. Again, that marketing and HR collaboration and alignment is quite critical. You need to have a consistent message and creative, which is co-created by both HR and marketing. Again, going back to both cases, where we could see that it worked pretty well when that is done. There's one message going to the same audience and actually addressing two different things. But at the same time, if you do not do it well, we can see how it can be a lost opportunity. So you've got to find ways of being able to build these messages and campaigns together, especially for organizations where you are talking to the same market. Fourthly, you've got to try and hunt as a pack as much as possible. You can't have marketing go out talking to the same audience using whatever resources they have and HR doing the same thing within the same period of time. You've got to try and go out as one organization that is speaking to that audience, although you're talking to two different aspects. But when it lands to that one individual, it's better when the message is single and they're able to actually engage you from both points. And it helps the brand, to come across as a single brand that's got a single message and talking to that one audience. And then lastly, what is quite critical for me is that when marketing and HR have got a strong alignment and collaboration, you are able to build brand ambassadorship. I always say that your employee is your first client. And if you cannot market to your employees and be able to deliver your CVP as part of your EVP, it makes it quite difficult to go out to market working with your employees to be able to sell your brand. So always take your employees as that first client. And that's it from me. I don't know if there's any questions.
Thank you, Norma. I wanted to add one small thing that not so long ago in our practice, in our working with our clients, we invented such thing as integrative brand. We started calling the brand integrative, telling that we shouldn't only pay attention to employer brand and marketing guys will work with their own marketing. We said that marketing brand, employer brand, and investment brand should work together because we will pay much more money, we will spend much more money working with each one in its own sphere and later trying to connect them when they are so different. That's why I love the idea very much, and I wanted to say that this idea to sell it together, to start from to start the conversation with the client, or the agency should start the conversation with the client, explaining that these brands have to work together and departments also have to discuss all their steps together. I mean the marketing department and human resources. That's why thank you for this great idea, and it was also inspirational examples because they helped understand why we have to make everything together and pay attention to this at the very beginning, not later. If you can, please also stay a little bit, because if we will have any questions, these questions will appear in our but by the way, there are such questions. Can you explain what is CVP, please? And after that, please stay in the chat to answer other questions if there will be any.
Right. So CVP is a client value proposition. So similar to employee value proposition, it is what is obviously your unique selling point and the value that you deliver to your clients. So the idea is that as you're building your client value proposition, especially in a case where your talent audience and your market is the same, and make sure that that CVP and the EVP have got that alignment, right? So that when you are talking to your employees about your products, you are actually selling, the client value proposition as part of your employee value proposition. I'm not sure if it's making sense, but I can answer a bit more on the chat itself.
Great. Thank you, Noma. Yes, makes sense. Thanks. Thank you for your speech. We'll move to our next speaker, and this will be Linda Ndungane, who is founder and creative director of Angawami Group, South Africa. She will tell, Linda will tell us how communication is approached when addressing a multi-generational workforce. It's really interesting topic about because different generations become the conflict between generations can become a real problem. We have such problem in Russia. We have so many clients who want to make people of different age start working together and understand each other, and all the people working better with the young managers, and that is why it's really interesting to hear what you will tell us. Hi Linda, nice to see you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day to everyone, and thank you for having me. Warm greetings, and it's a special day, so happy Thursday to everyone. So my name is Linda Ndungane, and I function from a premise that multi-generational teams and workforces have a positively competitive edge and advantage in the marketplace. I believe that the notion is that with a multi-generational workforce, we are able to inherit a sense of wisdom from each other. What does this mean for me? We get insights, we borrow and refresh ideas that already exist to build that social proof that is needed for our organizations, for our companies as professionals, and sort of aid our networks, which is quite critical if you think about just how this can all come together for any successful campaign in an organization. This needs to bring me now to explaining a recent experience I had, right? So a few months ago, I was asked by a client to host their team and provide guidance on favorable tactics to attract seasoned professionals, graduate level professionals using social media and various other digital platforms. Now, looking at the current team, how they present, how they attract and sort of communicate their value, and also just to see how we could increase their engagement levels. And this, of course, was a law firm with just over 320 employees. And being curious, not having worked with the law firm before, I thought this is an interesting environment to step into. So I definitely agreed to meet the team. So fast track to post the meeting, there was much dialogue. And to be honest, a lot of resistance, because when things have to change, of course, there becomes that sense of we are not sure, we're uncertain. And we work through these things, but I then asked one key question. And this question was to the business leader at the time. And I said, do you care? Do you care that your communication is relevant? Do you care if it has reach? Do you care what perception would be created? Do you care if it matters and how people will feel when you communicate? Bearing obviously the end that they had in mind, and as I had unpacked earlier. So in most likely case, you would also guess there was an unquestionable yes. And the reason why, though, I had asked this question, do you care, was to drum up the sense of willingness, setting the tone for the willingness to approach things differently. And this is because I'm one person who always advises the willingness to try and to try differently each time. And that's all about attention. And I'm going to break it down very soon. This brings me to this discussion we're having today on how communication is approached when addressing a multi-generational workforce. This requires the CARE approach. I'm introducing it as something that is very curated and needs to be precise and requires planning and excitement to keep all these generations hooked up. So looking at Unilever and LinkedIn, I did my studies, I connected, and really they were my baseline for this proposed change, and I use it now in most of how I feature when dealing with clients, because it's really mindset and it's really trying out new things. It's really about using their glaring features, you know, in these entities that display a care in communication. And for them, it's presented in terms of grasping attention. Because if you think about it now, we can't live without it. We can't live with the LinkedIn as professionals, because in that space, we get to interact and do so many things. Companies explore and are able to connect with others. So very B2B marketing that takes place. And if you look at how, with my engagements with some of the employees there when we connected, it's really about what is in it for them to grow and how they tap into preferred channels for communicating in specific groups. So very targeted approach. And I'm taking you through just how attention is all that we need right now. And I just want to put it out there that the one currency that we honestly are fighting for is that undivided attention. If you think about the digital space and putting out a campaign, it can just be crippled by whatever's going on in the world, big news, celebrity hype, trending topics like the arrival of vaccines. So that also affects the workplace. It also affects an environment that hasn't set the right tone for their communication approach. So what does this all say? Let's discuss this care that I'm talking about. And I think you can go to the next slide for me. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to my control. I have a couple of things open. Sorry for that. So C, call to action. So what is important for me was the clarity in message. So telling a person what is in it for them, telling them what to do, being adaptable and adopting different styles to meet that presence and to make sure that when you are in the space where you find the generational group, you are able to invade and be what they want to see always. Like the first thing they interact with is where you find your generation. But let me go through the key models. So R, reset, meaning look at the feedback and responses so that you know whether to push or pull. So having that reset button ready is important because it allows you to activate a new trick or two to keep the attention, to keep the engagement, to get what the call to action was from the various groups in the workforce. And then E is that trick that allows you to empower, it allows edutainment, because by providing the necessary chunks of information, by being creative and innovative around how you sell, is very important, because those are the tools that keep the communication flow from one group to another, back to the inheritance that I was talking about. So let me make this practical in terms of what we did and how we actually went about it. As you all may know, communication style is the biggest difference and bridge we have to overcome to close the gap. I like the quote by Brian Tracy, or rather what he says in his book regarding the psychology of selling. He says we need to spend 80% of our time focusing on the opportunities rather than the problems, right? And as we communicate, we are always selling something. So where is the opportunity in what we need to sell? Applying the same principle in mind here regarding the opportunity, I would like us to bring this back to the basics, and this is how we deployed the whole process. Firstly, we eliminated the overthinking in the engagement, because one thing, overthinking kills us. My clients spend too much time nitpicking or being nitpicky and indecisive about investing in tools. And the key thing was having an employee app that could connect everyone. So let's think about this as well. And it's also a tip. Members of all generations now see value in the personal contact, some sort of personalized interaction. And it's important to start from the perspective that all employees want to do is to do well. They want to help. They want to contribute somehow in society. So how you feature all of those is important in this strategy or communication approach. For example, an application that allows interaction based on the availability of response. So what response options are there that would fit the communication style of each generational group? So voice calls, as an example. I know a few baby boomers, for example, that are not even about that anymore, but one of the key things is not being as tech savvy or willing to text and write up, but more about voicing out via call, via audio messaging. So creating things that would allow them to have a place. So the one example that I'm putting out there is an audio suggestion box as a tool. And this was obviously leapt up quite quickly. If you think about the Generation Y, the expression is more about heavier content, being specific, wanting to unpack a call to action. So even in the environments I've worked and operated in, I had found working in teams that had dominant Generation Y, having to sift through a lot of the intel rather than people who were in my age group who simply needed a quick instruction and would go about their business, appreciated a high-level announcement and would ask there and there if there was a need for more detail. But now, because of the setup we are operating in globally, most people are working remotely, organizations are not interacting as much in spaces we could touch base physically and so forth. The divide or the gap has sort of increased. And what do we do? It's important to apply the reset, and the reset being what other mechanisms will grasp the attention. And this digital divide, I'm looking at it as an opportunity and tabling it obviously today as one of the powerful things that we can employ and a mechanism to add the educational bits. Secondly, it's important to listen. And I think the listening part is what I think Unilever and LinkedIn do quite well, is the feedback mechanisms placed in their communication strategy. Really the continuous dialogue between employer and employees, keeping conversation going, finding out what employees want, what they want to see, what they want to hear. While others would require sort of your instant messaging, being specific about the type of detail that is required in the setup, it's very curated because of the research that is involved, because of the approach that would be confirmed amongst the people that have to do this. So I've had the privilege of being a communication major, if you could put it like that, and having been stuck years and years in the human resources space and dealing with people and trying to get people to communicate well with each other. It brings me to my third point, which is the setting of guidelines, right? Guidelines are very critical, and these are the modes that will sort of facilitate specific types of information and require quite a bit of consultation. And in order to apply the care concept, one of the things that helps is the openness to adapt, the openness to be visible. Efficient tools therefore become important, right? Efficiency in terms of if an app is deployed, like the one that my client ended up deploying, the chat functionality that's similar to your WhatsApp, your Telegram, your Signal, where you're allowed to leave a voice note, we're allowed to text to audio, or audio to text, is important because we already use these in our personal space, but deploying that in a workforce is sort of also being relevant as an employer, relevant as a company that is living in these times. And this was one of the features that I thought would be great to sort of encourage and share. And the wonderful ability for us to get real-time feedback when communicating with different levels in an organization, different generational groups. The one thing we need is obviously to listen, as I've mentioned, but on this point is that having your ear to the ground and that pulse. So pulse surveys, pulse briefings, taking your 30 seconds to 1 minute sort of quizzes and video snaps so that you're able to target better the information that is then spread in the environment. And also to sort of die down the fire. There's fires, there's crisis management that needs to take place, and having this approach that looks at what is effective as a tool and what will have enough reach is then very important to also put out fires. And that's what my client did not have in place, where an employee was in a car accident and had obviously had too much to drink, and because they are in the legal space, I don't know what had happened, but this then leaked, and obviously it affects sort of the reputation of that particular organization, because now this person was not really processed the way they should have. And employees started questioning how the leadership had gone about this. Having to sort out that fire was then critical, and not having the tools in place was a good way to sort of land the message for this change to take place in this particular environment. Research, the sufficient research is one way that I have managed to support clients. Having a tailored approach is easy if we have looked at who is in the space. So not just the generational gap, but what are we equipped with? Let's think about it again for a sec. A key thought: with the advanced use of artificial intelligence, this is really for our social intelligence. We now have an upper hand to giving the workforce what it needs. And why then not land the desired messages? Because we are already informed as HR professionals, HR communication professionals, we talent brand professionals, we are already being fed the information. So how we package should be led by some of the feedback we get from the systems that we can use that tell us exactly what people are looking at, what they're eager to know, what entertains them, and use that to build around the type of communication that we can deploy. As I move towards my closing and practical action pieces here that we apply for a multi-generational workforce, really in intent, it's really about care, as you see displayed there, because I firmly believe, regardless of age, employees have, and some employees have specific expertise in areas that actually place them outside of their norm generation's communication style. So not much beats the utilization of this concept. And really it's learnings of years of pushing different collaborative and interactive tools. So what worked really? Having a site that provides learning opportunity, content that's blended, so ability for text, video, upload of images, instant sort of conferencing connection, and really the deployment of a project management platform, right, that has had the biggest influence on the multi-generational communication. So for instance, now my client sends big picture updates, you know, about his vision and the vision of the executive team and the organization at large every second week. You know, it's a short clip accompanied by a link to their employee app. And for the executive group, which is also mixed generations, this allows them to give back insights, share views, tips to each other for the week or next coming 2 to 3 weeks, especially leading up to the clients, big giant clients that they have. And through this use and the growth, obviously, and willingness that we were able to achieve, it's really increased the engagement levels, which at the time when we had stepped in, they were about 53%. With the dipstick, the pulse, we're able to then receive an 82% increase. And this is all from people who are still working remotely. I think lastly, flexibility being one of the things that I think is very, very important. Tech needs and flexibility appeal, I think, to many people, but especially your millennials and Generation Z, to have that control, to be connected. This is the people that need to then show up well and capture the generations that have not actually led in this area. So capturing this group, right, slots in very well in the stream of edutainment. And because there's such an impact in terms of morale and how information is shared and sort of the pace of productivity, if you think about it, this is where the approach becomes more focused on this particular generational group. So considering the attention thing, of course, mentioned once again, if you just track back at what we're going through now with the 15 to 30 seconds, being a very, very long time. I think now, you know, with the bloom of social applications like Instagram, your TikTok adverts, companies are now sponsoring more of those to send out what we would put together as a campaign over 3 to 6 months is now being done in less than a day. You know, now you can put together a conference and have thousands join in literally hours from all over the world. Things have become so much easier, and they shouldn't then become difficult in the workforce or for companies to actually send out relevant messaging that meets the demands or lands the desired messages. So my key parting shot is, you know, think about how you can use tech to offer all generations that flexibility they crave without breaking the bank. So all of this is achievable and cost effective. And with that said, I am Linda Ndungane and I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Linda. Thank you for your speech. And I want to say that you have a message that Unilever is one of the most attractive brands to graduates in South Africa and also a prospective employer for most human resources and marketing professionals. So that's true, and I wanted to say just a little small tiny idea that we used here, and it can be a kind of a bridge to the next speech, because next topic will be devoted to the internal story of the internal multi-generational teams. And I wanted to say that here we saw and we participated in implementing of the reverse mentoring, the mentoring where we asked our young teams to teach all the ones the things which are useful in modern life, and the process of their communication explained to the oldest that young people are rather modern, they know how to work, they know how to behave, and that made these teams connect better. So that was the example of the thing which can help if you have, especially in internal communication, if you have such problems, to stick these two types of teams. And I want to pass to the last speech, and the last speech will be provided by two people, both from Bosch. That will be Zamakuhle and Khlabati, and Paul Vermey, both from the human resources team of Bosch, and both will speak about the process of working in internal communication with different with people from different generations, with people from different generational groups. While we are waiting for the guys, I hope they're here. I want to say that after the last speech, we will have the last short quiz. We already know some of the winners. We discussed those who was active and who guessed the right answers. And after everything will be finished, we will connect everyone, and my colleague Kisha will help them to understand how to gain this prize. Hi guys, I see you on the screen. Nice to see you here. Hi,
Hi, how are you?
Both of you hear me well.
Hi, good afternoon. It's a bit difficult for me because I can't see the screen anymore, but I can hear you.
Great. We can see you well and we can hear you well. So thank you for coming here. And I'm giving the mic to both of you. You can share your presentation and start when you will be ready, because we are ready to listen. And I will read. If you don't see the screen, I will read the questions or commentaries later to you to help you if you won't be able. So please share the presentation. And we'll start. As before, while listening to the previous speaker, to Linda, I understood that we have almost all the same project. Nevertheless, what continent or country you are based, you have the same problems with the different generations, with the communications, with the world which is changing fast, and which makes us look for new ways of making these people work together. And I understand that whenever you move, you will have the same situation, the same problems. If you need any help with the presentation, you can ask me, because maybe I can give you a tip or advice. Who is going to share your presentation?
Are you willing, Paul?
Paul is not here. I can't see Paul and I can't hear Paul, but I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay.
So is it you, Zamakuhle, who is sharing the presentation?
No, it's actually Paul, but I
It's
can
Paul.
try from my end as well.
Okay, got it. I'm sure that I see the presentation. Yes, I'm sure
Okay,
that
great.
it will appear on the screen soon. Yes, and Paul is here, so I'm turning my mic off, and you are on the stage. You can start, please. Your presentation is on the screen.
Okay, Paul, can you see the presentation? Paul?
Paul is connected, but I'm afraid he can't hear us. So Paul, if you hear us, can you connect again to the conference? Because we can't hear you. We managed to launch the presentation, and we can hear Zamakukle, and unfortunately we can't hear you. Okay. I can give you another example while guys are reconnecting. I can give you another example of the mutual activities which we made to make people of different genders work together. Unfortunately, here in Russia, we have another great, big, and awful problem. Oh, I'm hearing someone. Yes, I see
Yes,
both of
I'm
you are
back.
here.
Sorry.
Yes, we can hear. So I'm finishing all my stories, and you can right now you can start.
Okay, thank you. Thanks,
Can you
everyone.
see this?
Thanks,
Can you see
Igor.
the presentation,
I can,
Paul?
I can see it. I can see it. So if you can, okay. Thank you,
Paul?
Zama. Yes, I can see it. All right. So welcome, everyone. And before we start our presentation, I would like to share some numbers with you, some information about Bosch. I'm responsible for human resources for the region of Africa. My name is Paul Vermeij. And within Africa, we have 13 countries that we are active in, as you can see, starting from the north till the far south. And in actually South Africa, we both based in South Africa, and South Africa is actually our biggest location in terms of headcount in Africa, with around 500 employees. Okay. So some more numbers. Bosch is a multinational company with a total turnover of more than 70 billion, founded more than 130 years ago. And we are close to 400,000 associates. And the most interesting thing about Bosch is that we are not on the stock market. We are still a privately owned company. And looking at Bosch in Africa, we are in Africa since 1906, and almost 1,600 associates now in Africa. And I remember very well from one of our early presenters that storytelling is really important. So not only focusing on the numbers, and we started increasing our presence in Africa 6 years ago in 2015, and we did that to improve the lives of the people in Africa with our products, which are tailored for the Africa market. So when it comes to communication, and of course we know that communication should be tailored and should be really focused on the different target groups, the different age groups, etc. But the pandemic really learned us that it became even more important, and we had to become even more versatile with our offerings, because our regular communication platforms that we used, they were not really catering for the needs of our employees. So we had to be creative there. So, as you all know, we can recognize the different categories when it comes to age groups. The baby boomers who are embracing technology, but still are very much wanting to maintain opportunities for face-to-face communication, email communication. The Generation X, not the digital natives, but they wanted to use technology more to also that supports their professional development. The millennials, more really embracing technology, and they are looking for technology that facilitates the collaboration, teamwork, and last but not least, the Generation Z. They are they grew up with technology, and they want to use technology at the workplace in the same way as frictionless as they use technology at their home, which definitely is a challenge because looking at the workplace, we have definitely some more challenges when it comes to technology. So the presence of those four generations, the four categories, they present some obstacles for us in terms of communication, how to adapt, and Zama will now take over and show you some specific examples of how we did that and I used that in Africa.
Great. Thanks, Paul, for that. So as Paul said, I'll be going through the approach for the multi-general communication for Bosch in Africa. So firstly, what we did is that we set expectations regarding our workplace culture and behaviors by clearly communicating our company's culture and etiquette. And this really was important for us, as this goes hand in hand with knowing when to send an email versus when to send an IM, and compromising and finding a compromise between the two. So it's we still have that the mindset that emails are for formal communication versus instant messaging, which is seen as a more informal messaging. So within Bosch, we've got two methods of communication. One, we call it the conventional methods, the one that most all companies use, and then we've got the second one called unconventional methods. We have the email, which is used for important daily updates for employees so that they can be able to go back and refer to. This is generally preferred by baby boomers, and I think Paul touched on that earlier, and a little bit of the millennials are also leaning towards baby emails. However, generally we find that Generation Z, our youngest workforce, actually consider emails as their snail mail, which is not surprising because they are the generation of the technology, as Paul has mentioned. Then we get to instant messaging. This is where the Generation Z really prefers this form of communication. This is instant chatting. It's used while having quick discussions with individuals or with team members. Generation Z really prefers this as it's really faster and it gets straight to the point. However, what we do is we offer these platforms to our associates so that they too can find themselves using instant messaging without having to use their own personal instant messaging platform. Then we get the MS Teams and the Skype for Business. These are ones that I think everybody is accustomed to. They're ideal for group or one-on-one calling to address any issues that need to be discussed face to face, and we offer both of these platforms to our employees so that they can communicate with each other in these remote times that we're working. And then we have town halls. Town halls is a form of engagement we use where we engage with all of the associates at the same time. So here we use this platform to discuss issues or topics that we are currently facing, from business updates to asking employees on their thoughts on certain topics and whether they affect them or they affect the business. But it's really a platform where now we've done it virtually. Before we used to do it face to face. Now we really try to make it as engaging as possible by getting various speakers that represent the different dynamic groups within the organization to come and speak. Then we have the unconventional methods, which are my personal favorites. So we have something called coffee corners. Coffee corners are more around engaging with our associates on a more social and informal method. So here we use Microsoft Teams, everyone switches on their cameras, everyone is encouraged to bring a cup of coffee, hence the name Coffee Corners. And here what we do as HR is we really try to, one, find out and engage with our associates in terms of how they are coping with the current pandemic and working from home and any other issues they might be facing. We really try to engage with them on also specific topics as well that are educational for them or maybe could also assist them in their working relationship. So it's a very open, very light-hearted a platform that we use when engaging with our associates. Then we have something called Threema. Threema is also an instant messaging tool. So what we've done is that we don't want our associates to use their personal WhatsApps for work because we believe that should be kept in a personal space. So what Threema has done is that it has replaced WhatsApp for us within the organization, and associates are really encouraged to use Threema to chat amongst themselves. But also what we do is that we really encourage our managers to create groups on Threema, just like you would on WhatsApp, to be able to communicate with their associates faster, and especially if they're not really on by their laptops. And this really works well with the sales guys who are really on the road mostly most of the time. Then we have the multicultural exchange. Here it's a fun and somewhat serious initiative that has been started within Bosch Worldwide and not just for Bosch Africa. And here we encourage employees from all over the world to communicate with each other. So we use various platforms to do this. And this is really to promote the intercultural communications amongst not only our intercultural, but also our intergenerational workforce as well. Then we have our Bosch Connect. Bosch Connect is our own personal version of LinkedIn, and it gives employees the chance to engage with one another on topics that they share interest in, or even asking for assistance on topics that they might need help on. And the fun thing about Bosch Connect is that you can connect with your local associates, local colleagues, or also ones from all over Bosch worldwide. What we've also realized is that we stress the usage of multiple communication options. So we say to our associates, here are the means for you to communicate. Choose the one that speaks to you mostly and use that. And we don't want to sort of like force them to use a single point of a single platform or choice of platform. Our employees are also encouraged to use the ones that they're comfortable with, like I had said, especially during home office hours, and also depending on how quickly they want or need the information that they want. And as we have said, instant messaging is slightly faster than email is. And while we give our employees the options of the different platforms that they may use, we do set certain expectations for when it's appropriate to use these different communication channels. So, for instance, disciplinary conversations that should be face to face, whether it's in person or video, but these should happen face to face because these are quite important discussions to have. However, there is no need to schedule a team meeting for a short update that can be covered in an email. And so what we've done within Bosch is also we've fostered a culture of being willing to teach and being taught. Baby boomers might not by not by could not maybe be technology savvy, and millennials and Gen Zs might not know email etiquette. So we encourage our employees to continuously learn from each other in the ways of efficient communication, which at the end of the day is the actual crux of the matter, is being efficient in terms of the way that we communicate with each other. We keep our communication simple and jargon free, which is very important for us. So we know which topics to email and which ones we would instant message. Urgent topic needs to be referenced, so they should be emailed, but at the same time, urgent communication can be instant messaged to reach our employees faster. We've also explored the option of text bulk messaging, and that has worked very well for us. So we'll send one SMS to the rest, of the one text to the whole organization, and they will get it on their mobiles at the same time, as opposed to having to log on to an app to get the information. So, in closing, it is important to know your target audience in order to best tailor your communication use. And I think Linda touched on this slightly as well. Also, knowing the gravitas of your topic will also determine which method of communication to use. As HR professionals, we are privy to knowing our workforce and how to best to communicate with them. After all, we did hire them, so we know them very well. So we will use all the methods at our disposals to engage with our associates, all depending on the topic at hand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you both. And it's really nice to understand that you trying to fit these communication channels, internal communication channels for each generation, but try to teach everyone. So it's a really good approach, and I love it at all. I think that some of these ideas which you showed here, I will tell my clients when I meet them, and they will have the same question. So thank you very much. If there will be any questions in the chat, please stay to answer them. We can see here that Elizabeth says that you gave interesting insights, and yes, Kesha Seragia answers so spot on with the Zaman. This is really interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, both of you. Please, if you can, answer
Thank
the questions
you.
if we have any. And we are passing to the last part of this conference, this event. We are moving to the quiz again. The quiz, but this quiz will be asking you questions about this last part, the third part, this part about local cases. The quiz is on the screen, and you can do the same. You did before. Just send the answer or the number of the answer to the chat, and my colleagues will choose those who will be the first and the most precise. And after that, we will find you, and we will give you the souvenirs we prepared. I mean, these human resources, special human resources hoodies with this "Fire and Hire" slogan. Okay, the first question is: since when is Bosch operating in Africa? You just had the lection, the speech from the Bosch representatives, so it won't be hard for you. And the variants are 1896, 1806, 1808, 1810. So please choose the correct answer. Since when is Bosch operating in Africa? Since when is Bosch operating in Africa? 96, 06, 08, or 10? What is the name of the Bosch LinkedIn application? And the variants: Bosch Connect, Bosch Mate, Bosch Network, or Face Bosch? Please choose what is the best. Maybe maybe the guys from Bosch will choose another name which will love the most. But right now you have to choose the name of the application which is which guys already use in Bosch: Connect, Mate, Network, or Face Bosch. The third question is: what is the back to the basics approach proposed today called when communicating with multi-generational workforce? What is the back to the basics approach proposed today called when communicating with the multi-generational workforce? It's called cure, care, fair, or rare. So one of these approaches was mentioned during the speeches, so please choose the right one, and we are moving to the next question. Name the companies who consistently apply this model, the named model: Unilever, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Mars. Sorry, that was the wrong numbers, so I will read again. Name the companies who consistently apply this model: Unilever, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Mars. Please choose the right question. Or maybe several. Okay, what is the ABC of marketing and HR's marriage? Align brand and culture, align work and result, align people and product, and align hire and fires. Choose the most appropriate, the right question, which was mentioned during the speeches. What is the ABC of marketing and human resources marriage? Align brand and culture, align work and result, align people and product, or align hires and fires? And the last question: what year were Nedbank and Standard Bank South Africa campaigns executed? 2008, 2010, 2017, or 2019? 08, 10, 17, or 19? Please choose the right answer. Send it to chat. Don't be afraid. All answers, we see all answers. We have all results in our tables, so we won't miss anybody who answered correctly. All of you will receive our souvenirs which we propose to you. So that is the end. Finally, thank you to those who stayed till the end of this conference, till this event. It was really nice to see all of you here. I want to say that I said it already, and I will repeat again, that we will send you the link to this event, because we have the video, the whole video of the conference, so that you will be able to share the results, the ideas, the case studies with your colleagues. So you can easily do it when you receive this link, and we will send this link to your emails. Don't be afraid. Everything will be saved, and you will receive all the links. Please do it if you will be able. You can share it in your social networks. We will be grateful for this. And again, I want to say that I was here for 3 hours together with you. I am creative director of Make Love Agency. We are dealing with employer branding and working with employer brands. My name is Igor. Yes, you see it on the screen. And we are starting working. We start working with the human resources tasks in South Africa. And I'm sure that you will be. It will be interesting for you to get connected with us. Our representative, Kesha Sirage, she was today presenting the first speech. It was her speech. She will be ready to answer all your questions. If you need to connect us, please visit our social networks. You just should look for Make Love Agency in LinkedIn or Facebook, or you can visit again HR Guerrilla website and find the links to our social networks on this website. And I was glad to stay here with you. I'm sure that it will be interesting to work together. Have a nice day. See you. Bye.